What is up, party people? Happy Monday. My God, is it gorgeous out there. Ken, tell me this is what it's going to look like for the rest of forever for now.
We're going to go outside right now, and we're going to pray that it happens. Come on, let's go, boys.
So gorgeous outside. It was delicious.
Yeah, let me see here. Let me type this in.
About
here.
80-something
Nashville.
Weather.
Come on.
249 carried to 3.
Whoo! I'm not seeing it. I'm only seeing some significant clouding up on Thursday.
I'm okay with that.
But no storms.
No, that's
I don't
fine.
see any sign of severe weather.
So we got nice today, a little cooler next couple days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 80s. Oh, baby.
Yeah.
So
I mean, even tomorrow, even though it's going to be 65, it's still going to be clear as a bell.
Oh, gorgeous.
For some reason, we're going to have some weird showers tonight. I don't know why, but for some reason, it looks like we might have some showers tonight, but nothing to really worry about. Nothing at all to worry about, in fact, unless you just don't like being caught in a shower, in a rain shower.
Spring is upon us, and you two need to appreciate this entire week. Because that's about how long it's going to last.
You know what? I don't need your attitude, Bell. Fun ruiner.
And he was pointing at us.
God, it's gorgeous outside. Like, this is beautiful.
This is what they call Chamber of Commerce weather.
Yeah, exactly. This is the stuff they're like, hey, you're going to invite somebody for your, come on in, move out here. It's going to be delicious, right? There's no trains. And when they are trains, they're quiet and they run on time.
Yeah.
Right? The weather's gorgeous. We rarely have a shower, but when we do, it's tornado-like. But you don't tell them that part. Don't put that in the brochure.
No.
Goodness me. Walking in today, too. You can see all the folks out there walking around, got their shorts on, their T-shirts.
Yeah,
right?
and see, it's gotten to the point, too, man. I mean, my morning walk is in between 7:30 and 8:30, and the sun's at a point now where I think I might be getting a little bit of a tan on my walks in the morning.
Oh, very nice. I like that.
Feels very warm when the sun's on me in the morning.
It is no more jacket.
No, sir.
None of that stuff. That's what I like.
No, it's shorts all the way. Shorts until December now.
Till December. Look at that. There's shaking of the head from Bell.
Come on, Brother Bell. Put your shorts on, dude.
Not going to do it.
Do it, man.
Not going to do it.
Oh, you one of those people that doesn't wear shorts?
I do sometimes, but it's very, very rare. I prefer my blue jeans. That's my uniform, blue jeans and a T-shirt.
You are. That is a uniform. It's kind of odd uniform. I like my shorts. Today I've got my squid shorts on with the blue shirt. Liking it.
Yeah.
That's how I roll, kids.
Yeah, I got utility pockets on my shorts. Like keep my chapstick and my earbuds.
Everything. Utility pants are awesome. I can carry so much stuff in here. You guys couldn't even stop me.
Now, I can't sneak up on anybody because everything jingles.
And if I fell in the water, I'd probably sink. Oh, my Lord. That is it's a beautiful day, people. I'm ready. So much stuff to talk about today. We'll talk a little bit about the meeting. I love the president of El Salvador. Yeah, I don't have the power to bring that guy back. Really? You have no power to bring that guy back? I can't, It's like, I wish I could, but, the thing.
Hands are tied.
What thing would that be? The thing. And, Trump and they were like, we tried. He said no. I don't know what else you guys want me to do. Oh, goodness. Can I just say, so Trump this weekend at the UFC and Bernie was at Coachella. If that isn't a snapshot of what our country is right now, right? Bernie's out there going, oligarchies, and there's all these women, and Trump, other side of the country, in Florida, in Miami, with his own music as he comes out for two guys who are getting ready to beat themselves to death.
Did he have his own music?
He did. He had his own walkout music.
All right.
So it's like that's the perfect example of where our country is at this moment in time.
Yeah.
If you go, a vast majority of the audience at Coachella is young women, which is solid. Very hot out there, too. It was in the hundreds. Little fire festival ring to it from what I hear.
Oh, yeah?
Just a smidge of the fire festival. People stuck. The food wasn't great, but it was super expensive. Hey, it's not good, but it'll cost you a lot of money. You want a $14 bottle of water?
Yeah.
Like they, it's funny that he's out there, Bernie, talking about oligarchs and the billionaires and the millionaires and all this stuff.
Yeah.
You're on stage with millionaires, and you're also at a place that charges you like $15 for water.
Right.
So check your privilege, Bernie. Okay? But I want to start, with Bill Maher hanging out with the president. And we touched on it last week. He spoke a smidge about it with Chris Cuomo on his podcast. But then he got really in deep about like, hey, you know what? Dude invited me. I went.
Okay. As you know, 12 days ago, I had dinner with President Trump, a dinner that was set up by my friend Kid Rock, because we share a belief that there's got to be something better than hurling insults from 3,000 miles away. And let me first say that to all the people who treated this like it was some kind of summit meeting, you're ridiculous. Like I was going to sign a treaty or something. I have no power. I'm a comedian, and he's the most powerful leader in the world. I'm not the leader of anything, except maybe a contingent of centrist-minded people who think there's got to be a better way of running this country than hating each other every minute.
Which I absolutely love. I love that. And to show you, and this is, when you listen to this, and some of you don't want to believe this, but I've always thought there's a part that Trump plays that is very much in front of the camera. He understands what's going on. Not everybody believes that. Not everybody, by the way, understands that Trump is playing a character at times. He believes a lot of the stuff, but he's also willing to be open-minded and listen to what people have to say. But he does take, he understands that he's in a position where he's got to keep a certain level of, this is who I am. This is the way I have to be. But I love the fact that he's fine being self-deprecation. He's fine with people poking fun of him, especially in a situation like this. He understands that, hey, this is who you are. This is who I am. Who I am is a left-leaning comic, right, who likes, basically adult film actresses and stuff. Remember the Playboy Mansion he was always at? And smokes the little weed he does, and he has a good time, and he tries to keep people honest. And he talks about the fact that some of the stuff that Trump did that you would not believe, that people wouldn't want people to believe, but including signing something for Bill.
Oh, what he signed was hilarious.
This list of almost 60 different insulting epithets that the president has said about me. Things like stupid, dummy, lowlife dummy, sleazebag, sick, sad, stone cold crazy. Really a dumb guy, fired like a dog. His show is dead. I brought this to the White House because I wanted him to sign it. Which he did with good humor. And I know as I say that, millions of liberal sphincters just tightened. Oh my God, Bill, are you going to say something nice about him?
That was so cool that he did that. He signed it, and he signed it big time. Signed it right across there with this big, giant, Yeah,
it was the same signature that he puts on executive orders and bills when he has to sign them.
And I love the fact that he did that. I love the fact that he took this upon himself with Kid Rock to sit down and have somebody in the room with him who not only disagrees with him, but has conversations with him. And Trump has a conversation with you. He sits there and he wants to know what you think. He's interested in that. And that's part of that 80-20 thing, understanding the populism works and how do I get more people underneath the tent.
What I'm going to do is report exactly what happened. You decide what you think about it. And if that's not enough pure Trump hate for you, I don't give a Just for starters, he laughs. I'd never seen him laugh in public, but he does, including at himself. And it's not fake. Example, in the Oval Office, he was showing me the portraits of presidents, and he pointed to Reagan and said, in all seriousness, the best thing about him, his hair. I said, well, there was also that whole bringing down communism thing, but no, he laughed, he got it.
His hair. He had some good hair, let's be honest, even till the end.
We were walking through it is an amazing tour of the whole house. And I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but it must have been something with the 2020 election, because I know he used the word lost. And I distinctly remember saying, wow, I never thought I'd hear you say that. He didn't get mad. He's much more self-aware than he lets on in public. Look, I get it. It doesn't matter who he is at a private dinner with a comedian. It matters who he is on the world stage. I'm just taking as a positive that this person exists, because everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent, at least on this night with this guy.
Yeah, I could have seen that. I think you sit down with him and, politics was secondary. They spent a couple hours together talking about all kinds of stuff. It was secondary. We spend too much time in this country talking politics.
When I hit him with a joke or contradicted something, and no problem. At dinner, he was asking me about the nuclear situation in Iran in a very genuine, hey, I think you're a smart guy, I want your opinion sort of way. And I said, obviously you're privy to things about it, I'm not, but for what it's worth, I thought the Obama deal was worth letting play out because we made Iran destroy 98% of the uranium, and they were 15 years away from a bomb. And then I said to him, but we got rid of that. You got rid of that. He didn't get mad or call me a left-wing lunatic. He took it in.
Yeah, very nice. Took it in. By the way, 15 years, really, they supposedly destroyed 98% of it. He hasn't been gone for 15 years, Obama, so we showed you how fast they could come back from that. Nobody, by the way, North Korea and Ukraine have both shown everybody why you want a bomb. Because, one, you never get messed with, and two, when you give up one, somebody will come for you.
I told him he was wrong when he tweeted the night before that I was critical of all things Trump. Moving Israel's embassy to Jerusalem, loved it. The border did need to be controlled. I'm glad the cops are getting their morale back. DEI had gone too far. Biological men shouldn't be playing women's sports. Europe should pay for their defense. And of course, it makes sense that Arab countries should take in Arab refugees, like the million Syrians who wound up in Germany when Saudi Arabia took none. He said to me, you're right, they took none.
They didn't. But I like the way he ends this. Again, two people having a conversation. Why comics matter? Because comics, unlike in today's world in particular, unlike reporters, it's great to have people on both sides that are willing to use humor to hold everybody's feet to the fire, to humanize individuals. And that is a wonderful thing. We need to make sure that we always have that opportunity at free speech when around the globe free speech is going away on a daily basis.
Was my favorite part of the whole night was we were standing in the room. We were. And he said, I've heard from a lot of people who really like that we're having this dinner. Not all, but a lot. And I said, same. A lot of people told me they loved it, but not all. And we agreed. The people who don't even want us to talk, we don't like you. Don't talk, as opposed to what? Writing the same editorial for the millionth time and making 25-hour speeches into the wind? Really, that's what liberals have? He takes the piss out of everybody else and we can hold ours? Okay, that's my report. You can hate me for it, but I'm not a liar. Trump was gracious and measured, and why he isn't that in other settings, I don't know, and I can't answer, and it's not my place to answer. I'm just telling you what I saw, and I wasn't high.
No.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, that's what he probably thought afterwards. That would have been interesting. Interesting indeed, and something we need. More conversation in this country. I love the fact that we have more that binds us than divides us. But the media and algorithms play a great part in that because it's business, and business has been booming. Coming up, we'll talk a little bit about immigration, a lot of other good things to get to as well. Some of your text messages, read out to us across all the social media. We're on Twitch, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook and YouTube. Not quite Rumble yet, but we will be there soon. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Prize Picks, run your game. Now is the time. Take advantage of what's going on Prize Picks wise. Guess what? Cash in, basketball, here right now. The playoffs, baby. Last chance to add your favorite players to your teams. Get your lineups ready to roll. Use my code Chad. Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Now, check this out. You can turn your playoff opportunities, your takes, your lineups into a chance to go to the championship series. That's right. Starting with the play-in round all the way up, you'll have a chance to win tickets, 2 sweepstakes tickets to go to the ship. the championship. So you ready for that? Simple and easy to do. You play that lineup, and the lineup is more or less. Can LeBron score more than 28 points in this game, or will, let's say Jason Tatum get more than 8.5 rebounds in this game? It's more or less. It's that simple, and your chance to win tons of opportunities, up to 2,000 times your money right now as well. And PrizePicks discounts several projections on things like Taco Tuesday, usually by 15 to 25%. Great opportunity now. Take advantage of PrizePicks. $5 play. Your first one, use my code Chad when you download the app. You get $50 win or lose. PrizePicks. Download the app now. Use code Chad. PrizePicks. Run your game.
All right, got a crash here in Midtown Church Street at 15th Avenue North, and then it looks like TDOT reporting the right shoulder is blocked 440 eastbound before Murphy Road. Metro Police investigating, looking for the killer from a fatal stabbing in an elementary school parking lot this morning before school. That story and more at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Man, Bell, people don't, you got a lot of fans out there with no shorts. You guys just don't have the legs to rock it or what? You're not like Ken and I.
I'll let you be the judge of that, and I'll refrain from.
I don't know. You won't wear shorts. People are like, no, shorts are the worst. Oh, for God's sakes. Shorts are amazing.
You know what? When the zombie apocalypse comes and you're caught with your shorts, we'll have a discussion with me then, okay?
What does that even mean?
That means that zombies are going to be biting your ankles.
Is that it? Well,
you're going to turn into a
catch
zombie.
Me. They'll catch you because you're in jeans. Right?
And you might get chafed trying to run away.
Yeah, that's right. You might get a really bad, rash. And we're like, oh, what happened to you? We're going to have to give you some Gold's Bonds. And then what happens if we have to swim? Oh, goodness me. Ken and I are going to be out there after Ken gets out all the stuff out of his pockets.
Yeah.
We're floating around. You'll be out there in your jeans struggling.
All my hairs are coming back, man. My hairs go away when I'm wearing long pants all winter long. And now, I've been doing shorts for a month now, and they're coming back, baby.
Leg prisons.
What Ken is saying is that he stopped shaving his legs.
Leg prisons. Well, that's because Ken, for those of you guys don't know, is also a world-class cyclist.
Yes. Only sometimes I can't hold the turn, and then I give up.
As you do. As you do, kids. As you do. What happened to that stabbing today, man?
Yeah, police, this is a sad one, man. Police say that a 52-year-old woman arrived for work. She's a custodian at Chadwell Elementary in Madison. Well, they think her estranged husband was waiting for her.
I was going to say, stabbings are very much
anger.
It's an anger. It's a very personal thing when you're stabbing a human being, because you're there with them. Shooting somebody is nowadays like a video game in a lot of ways, where that's a passion thing. You're serious about that.
Yes. And unfortunately, police were called after neighbors around there heard her screaming, this morning. They got there and they arrived, and there was another coworker there who had also called 911 who actually witnessed what went down, and she was already dead. He's already gone. And the students they never went to the school. They sent the students to another school for the day for the investigation. Police say there's no threat to the public, but they are looking for this guy.
So they haven't caught him yet?
Nope.
What a horrible situation.
Yeah.
Absolute nightmare. Trump is not going to bring that guy back because, the president of El Salvador is here, and he's like, yeah, well, I don't think we can do that.
Also, you're not suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right? How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it.
Smuggle him to the United States. I love well, we can't. We got, I don't think he has a real ID. It's like they're coming
Can't
up
get
with
him
an
on the
excuse.
plane now.
It's like, what am I going to smuggle him back? Really? Is that what you guys are doing now? There's no way that he can get back. Oh, my goodness me. That's just, Trump was never going to bring him back because that would admit defeat. He was going to make a kind of effort by making a phone call. And this guy, Bukalele's here. He's like, there's paperwork, and we don't have enough paperwork, and there's a lot of stuff. And there was just, we looked and no.
And we're very eager to help. We know that you have a crime problem and a terrorism problem that you need help with. And we're a small country, but if we can help, we will do it.
Yeah, he's never getting out. Here's my thing. Okay, so he escaped there because of political violence, and we told him, you can have asylum here, and you cannot be removed. At least we gave him the opportunity to have asylum. Now he's back there, but I don't know, was he ever convicted of a crime there? Or are they just taking people in, we'll put them in jail for 25 years and throw away the key? That's an interesting thing. So is that what we're doing? Was he convicted of a crime there? Was he a gang member there? I'm curious to find out what he did there that caused them to throw away, by the sounds of it, I don't think there's a lot of due process when it comes to their end.
Oh, in El Salvador?
Yeah.
I wouldn't think there is.
I love kids. I wouldn't think there's a lot of that due process stuff going on there. Because, we sent people there, and they're like, oh, yeah, they're going to be in jail for 25 years to life. For what? Were they convicted of a crime? Did they escape that? I mean, I'm curious because I don't think we should be sending anybody somewhere that, if you haven't been convicted of a crime, they could just throw you in a jail. That doesn't look great on us as a nation that believes in due process and freedom. Even if it is you're here illegally, you should go back to your country. But if you're tossed in jail forever, that doesn't, I love Ken. I wouldn't think they're going to give him that opportunity.
Yeah, Stephen Miller apparently says now that it was not a mistake to deport Garcia.
Okay.
That it apparently that was the result of whom he is calling a Department of Justice official who he now says was a saboteur.
The saboteur. Okay. How's the guy a saboteur?
He did not explain that.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to find out how the guy saboteured something. That'll be interesting. Good name for a band, the Saboteurs. Oh, there is a band called that. They were probably at Coachella this weekend. Coming up, by the way, where do you hear people finance those tickets? It's how expensive they were. They were financing their trip to Coachella.
Yeah, but you got to listen to Bernie's crap. So
Oh, yeah.
it's
Hey,
like-
guys, I know you want to see a bunch of young people jump around in small outfits and sing songs about stuff, but let me talk to you about oligarchs. Taxing the rich. Fantastic. Coming up, more good stuff and fun on the way, including more talk about why Belle doesn't wear shorts, which is fascinating all of us in this warm weather. It's Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, Metro Police addressing safety in the neighborhood around Chadwell Elementary School in Madison, where a custodian was stabbed to death this morning before classes started.
This was a targeted, isolated incident. We don't believe that there's any danger to the community beyond what occurred here this morning.
Now, what did occur this morning, according to police, is a 52-year-old woman arrived for work as a custodian and was stabbed to death by her estranged husband, whom police think was waiting for her, and the search is on for that suspect. President Trump hosting El Salvador President Nayib Bukele at the White House. Bukele pledging to continue to help Trump's efforts to deport illegal aliens with alleged gang ties, but he's not going to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia, suggesting he would have to do so illegally.
Suppose you're not suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right? How can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it.
So top Trump advisor Stephen Miller now rejects the idea that the government mistakenly sent Garcia back to his home country. Miller saying the admission was made by a government lawyer who's now been taken off the case, a man Miller now calls a saboteur.
And a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised with the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously.
6 women back on Earth after launching in a capsule owned by space tourism company Blue Origin. It was the first all-female space flight since 1963, says Alex Stone.
Screams of joy on board Blue Origin's New Shepard. 6 women, including singer Katy Perry and TV host Gayle King, now back on Earth as astronauts. Journalist, author, and Jeff Bezos' fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, saying,
You look back at Earth, and it's like this beautiful jewel. It was quiet. It felt like it was breathing.
They had an 11-minute ride into space. They felt weightlessness and then descended back to Earth.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
All right, guys, USS, United Structural Systems. Let me tell you, you've probably had some rain, right? Like, you probably had some stuff happen. How good is what's going on underneath that you can't see doing? Did some water get in there? Have those cracks turned into be a nightmare that maybe you just want to ignore? Wood rot? Mold? No. Maybe it's time for you to call United Structural Systems. Have them get out there before it starts to get even rainier and warmer and humid, and that stuff can spread. They are ready to help you. Call 615-488-7855. They're going to come out absolutely free. They're not going to charge you anything to come on out. They're going to give you a full, complete inspection, not going to cost you anything, and they're not going to sell you any unnecessary repairs. That's not who they are. Who they are is the best around. 30-plus years, 30,000 happy customers, and ready to help you. Whether you need something when it comes to your crawl space, your foundation, you name it, they've got you covered. Call USS today. Don't let that little crack, don't let that little something underneath become something it shouldn't have. And all of a sudden, you got a nightmare. 615-488-7855 or online at USSTN.com. Wellness Institute of Nashville. Write this number down, especially if your back's sore. Don't let your back be sore. Don't let this year get away from you. Don't let the beautiful weather get you bummed because you can't participate. Wellness can help you, especially when it comes to your back. Right now, in honor of the 47th president, Big 47, it's 47% off, non-surgical spinal decompression. 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, the best around. They've studied and practiced all over the world. They're ready to help you get it done when it comes to your back. You've tried everything else and you're frustrated. Don't be. During your consultation, you go in and you see them. Exam, x-rays, bring your MRI if you have it. Let them take a look and then build a plan that's right for you to get you up and moving and grooving. This summer, enjoying yourself in some shorts, outside, having a good time, thanks to our friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Don't let that back pain become a nightmare any more than it has been. It's driving you crazy, and you all know when your back starts to go, everything starts to get bad for you. Call them today, 615-246-5009, or go to painisbad.com. Ken, I was listening to your report on the Blue Origin.
The Blue Origin.
I don't, and I love Alex. Alex Stone, for those of you guys, ABC, he's a buddy of mine. I love Alex. Alex is like the coolest guy. He used the word astronaut. I'm sorry, you're not an astronaut.
Oh.
Like, do you count yourself as an astronaut? If you go up that high and come back?
Of course.
Or just a space tourist?
That's good. That's a good point.
You have to be an astronaut to be a space tourist.
No, you don't.
Sure you
First,
do.
Should there be a you have to go a certain level, I think, right, to be considered astronauty.
Mm-hmm. And they do that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't know there were levels you had to get to.
Well, I mean, shouldn't you have to orbit the Earth and stuff?
No,
Shouldn't you have to put a little work?
No.
Just shoot you in the air?
Absolutely.
My goodness. Just because you love Katy Perry.
I think that
Katy Perry is an astronut.
She's astronauty. So's Lauren Sanchez. If for those you guys don't know who she is, she said this.
You look back at Earth, and it's like this beautiful jewel. It was quiet. It felt like it was breathing.
So she was a big television reporter in Southern California, and somehow she, along with her jewels, managed to, with her beguile and her brilliance, apparently, get Jeff Bezos to marry her, which will happen soon at a tune of $1 billion or whatever. But what do you think that conversation was like? Honey, you got to go. We've all gone. You can't be the only one that doesn't go, right? This isn't like that silly submarine that blew up. My stuff works. But I just feel like to be an astronaut, you got to go through some training, right? You don't get to tell Gail King last week, hey, Gail, guess what? We're going to shoot you into space as a going away present. I mean, you figure. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like you have to go through a little bit more training to be considered an astronaut. The Democrats, not very good at being party of the people, falling apart. Harry Enton.
This, to me, is one of the most shocking pieces of poll data that I truthfully have seen this year, or maybe in any prior year.
Really?
Yes, really, because it cares more about the needs for people like you. Even after this tariff war had already started, split between Democrats and Republicans on how people feel which party cares more for needs of people like you. And why is that so surprising? Because I want you to take a look at prior years. Democrats always lead on this question. Back in 2017, before the 2018 midterms, 13-point lead. 2005, a 23-point lead for Democrats. 1994, which was a big Republican year, a 19-point lead for Democrats. And now, all of a sudden, a tie?
A tie. And it's happened because, not that the Republicans, I mean, Trump's doing more than the Republicans. I will tell you, I remember going and sitting there talking to Rance Priebus, or as Don King called him. Remember, Rance Priebus ran the Republican Party. He called him Rance Priskin. Rance Priskin, he invited me here. Settle down, Don. But I said, why aren't you out talking to the people? Why aren't you out in the communities? And their response back then when I was talking to him, this was at one of the conventions, was they know where we're at and they can come to us. That was a horrible thing to say. Trump has gone and talked to the person, the common man, the common woman, and used so much of it's all about common sense, right? Like so much of it is about common sense. And what the leftists decided to do is they hitched their wagon to extremism and academia and said, this is what all of the country is like.
All of a sudden, the Democrats, who are the party of the people, no more. We get a tie on this question, on a question that has traditionally overwhelmingly been a Democratic advantage. Which party cares more for the needs of people like you? It's truly something I would not have expected to see, especially after this tariff war had begun.
Well, in the tariff war, I mean, in theory, it's what are we trying to do? We're trying to rebuild the middle class. We're trying to rebuild manufacturing. We're trying to rebuild things that are going to bring great things to America and help out the person that has been screwed by NAFTA, that has been screwed by all of these trade deals, and bring back that opportunity to grow and to be able to have a job and afford a house. That's what, in theory, these trade wars are, although we know there's a lot more to them than that.
Again, you talk about party of the people. Look at this. Cares for the needs of people like yourself. That is the gains have been concentrated, at least within the last decade, among voters without a college degree. The working class. That is where Republicans have gained even since the beginning of the Donald Trump administration. The Democratic base is now those with a college degree. Among the working class, those without a college degree, Republicans have overwhelmingly gained on this all-important question of which party cares more for people like yourself.
And that brings me to this. Stephen A. Smith last week. So Stephen A. Smith, you guys don't know, sports guy, got a lot of hot takes. But I've been saying for quite a long time, I think he is the voice of the Democrat Party. And he's a different voice because he's a voice that lives in the world of reality. He's a voice that, like Trump, can entertain, whether you like him or not. Also a New Yorker. But he can talk to people and have a conversation in a way that nobody on the Democratic Party side seems to be able to do at all, outside of John Fetterman. And, you know, as much as John is my Democrat spirit animal, he's not ready for prime time to be president of the United States, or at least run for president of the United States. This is what Stephen A., who people have been saying, you got to run, had to say last week.
Just want to let y'all know where I'm at. Not interested in running. Hope it doesn't come to that. But I was told I owe it to all of us to at least leave the door open. That's what I did. By the way, this Sunday, I'm scheduled to be on This Week with George Stephanopoulos on ABC. And practically every other network is called. They're apparently taking it very seriously. So I have no choice but to do so.
No choice but to do so. So yesterday he was on with Jonathan Karl, because George, I guess, had a day off, talking about running for president of the United States.
Stephen A. Smith, host of ESPN's First Take. He's one of the most, maybe the most listened to sports commentator in America. Lately, he's been talking a lot about politics. And this week, he opened the door to a possible run for president in 2028. We'll get to your possible political future in a second, but you said when Trump got elected, we should give him a chance. How's it going?
I mean, this whole tariff war situation is utterly ridiculous. My attitude is that he should have immediately targeted China and not every nation on the planet, for crying out loud, just throwing tariffs at everybody. To applaud him for is for trying something.
Trying something. Didn't go, here, and there's a perfect example. I'm not telling him what he did was awful and wrong. I think it's ridiculous, but I applaud him for doing something. I applaud him for trying something. Sounds like a normal guy. Guess what? Democrats have lacked normalcy in their world.
And that's why somebody who's a sports analyst, for crying out loud, is in the daggone polls. It's not somebody big up in me. It's an indictment against a Democratic Party that doesn't have leadership and doesn't have a vision.
Are you really thinking about running for president?
I have no choice. I'm not a politician. I've never had a desire to be a politician. Here's the reality. People have walked up to me, including my own pastor, for crying out loud, who has said to me, you don't know what God has planned for you. At least show the respect to the people who believe in you, who respect you, who believe that you can make a difference in this country, to leave the door open for any possibilities 2 to 3 years down the line. And that's what I've decided to do.
And we'll see. We'll see if he does that. I don't know if he's going to leave the door open because we don't know what it's going to be like. You know, 2.5 years from now, the Republicans could be upside down and sideways. Things could have gone wrong. The tariff war could have been a disaster. We could have been still mired in wars globally. Or 2.5, 3 years from now, Trump could got inflation back down to where it was pre-COVID. We could have booming economy like nothing we've ever seen. We could have crushed China in the tariff battle. We could have finished the wars. We could have knocked everything out. Things could be looking good in the Middle East. We could have a little peace in the Middle East. And it doesn't matter who you run at that point in time.
If you give the GOP an opportunity, though, they will shoot themselves in the foot.
Oh, God, yeah. They will snatch victory. They will snatch defeat in the jaws of victory in a heartbeat. So too much time is their issue. Too much. But I don't know where it's going to be because nobody does. It's going to play itself out. But he's the only one that has common sense. And so much of what is missing from the Democrats has been common sense. Trump recognized that. It's not hard. Guys shouldn't play with girls in sports. Serious competitive sports. Different when they're kids, right? It's different. But they shouldn't be competing. Shouldn't be hard to say. DEI's lost its way and is out of control. Shouldn't be hard to say those things. Immigration was a nightmare because there was no immigration. It was just a wide open border. Shouldn't be hard to say those things. Common sense wins the day. The problem is they sold their soul to academia and uber progressive politics. Were more concerned about what was going on online and the influences they thought they could get from that, and they had no vision. And Trump came in and said, oh, look, let's rebuild the middle class. Let's talk to those people that are being completely ignored, the flyover states, and let's go win this thing. And he did. And he did. Do I think Democrats can do that? I think if Democrats continue to do what they're doing, they're going to struggle for a very long time. And I don't, just like the Republicans can screw it up. So the Democrats can take the worst idea, find the worst part of that idea, and run at it every day. And that's what they've been doing. Reach out to us across all of our social media. You can text the program. A lot of people texting in about Bell and his legs and his shorts or his lack of shorts. Do you even own a pair of shorts?
Of course. I wear shorts sometimes, just not very, very often.
I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, Ken, I feel like this is the guy that goes to a picnic wearing jeans when everybody else is in shorts.
Correct.
We're at the beach and he's in his shorts, his jeans.
No, if it was the beach, I'd probably be in trunks.
Nah, we're not buying that. None of us are buying that here. I think you're full of baloney.
You could be wrong.
Could be wrong. All right, coming up, a lot of stuff still to get to. Man, we have so much crap and good stuff, fun stuff as well. Not just all politics, because we just, we don't do that here. We don't do that here. And several people are chiming in, too, about astronauts. Astronauts. One person said, if I ride in the back of a jet fighter, does that make me a jet fighter pilot?
Yes.
According to Bell, yes. So if you get into a race car, Bell, and you're doing one of those things,
correct.
You're okay. I just want to make sure. I want to make sure, everybody. So that's what Bell says.
We're all on the same page now.
Okay. If you just kind of participate, you're in. That's all that matters. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Bulwark Capital. Just talked to my buddies over at Bulwark. In times like this, things are out of control. People feeling like they're frustrated with, I don't know what my money manager's up to. Bulwark's going to help you out with that. How about this? You ready to take a look at a company that's going to walk you through your portfolio, build you something that's right for you and what you want to do, that's not cookie cutter, and deliver that to you at no cost, a second opinion? That's what Bulwark's going to do. They're going to talk about what it is that they do. Lower risk, lower cost, lower volatility, give you the most upside potential. So whether you're investing and you're looking for great returns, maybe you're looking for something that's a little bit more, you're not chasing things, you want some stability, you want some growth, they can deliver those things to you because it's about where you're going, not the cookie cutter idea that so many people have out there. Call them today, 866-779-RISK, 866-779-RISK. Check out everything they do at knowyourriskradio.com. That's KNOWyourriskradio.com today for Bulwark Capital. Investment advisory service offered through Trek Financial LLC and SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk, not a guarantee. Past performance not guarantee future results. Check 24173.
.2 magnitude earthquake shaking Southern California. Tell you about that and other top stories coming up at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm going to piss some people off. Here we go.
The long journey is over. McElroy has his masterpiece.
I left golf. I watched this weekend. Didn't play any. I wanted to. But I watched the Masters. It was awesome. And you know what it is? It's
tradition.
Like no other, man. Just unlike any other. It was just awesome to watch. Because I'm not a huge fan of McElroy because I think he'd be whiny at times. But that was history, right? He's become the sixth guy to win the career Grand Slam. He's won all of the biggies. And really the fifth. This year he won the Players. So he's won what would be considered the fifth major. And I thought that was awesome. You know, his caddy is his childhood friend. They met when they were 7 on a putting green in Hollywood, Northern Ireland. And they're still pals and working together. I thought it was great. I'm like, you know what? That is so cool. So cool. And yeah, I did watch it. Absolutely. And I love the fact that I'm like, this isn't a sports station. It's stupid. You know what? I'll talk about it while get your own show. Ken, so many people are fascinated by Bell's legs.
Yeah.
I don't think Bell realizes the pull he has with his legs. The money. He's got no head, and I know he's got legs because he's walking around.
Well, yeah, he's got to get places.
Yeah. So I am fascinated by the amount of people. Also, the amount of people that are saying just because you're on a cruise ship doesn't make you a captain. Because we were debating earlier, the ladies all go to space, Katy Perry and Gayle King and all these people and Lauren Sanchez and everything. You're not an astronaut. That's my opinion is you train to become an astronaut. And some people out there are, Bell seems to think if you do anything, right? Like anything, you ride
Correct.
You ride in the back of you fly in the back of a jet pilot, you're now a fighter pilot.
If I ride in a limo, that makes me a chauffeur.
I think we all know that's not true. All know. This weekend, speaking of fun, Bernie.
Please give it up for Senator Bernie Sanders! This country faces some very difficult challenges.
That's right, the oligarchy. They're everywhere. They're coming up next. Bands called the oligarchy. They're just the worst. Bunch of white people screaming and yelling about all the money they make. Coming up, we're going to talk something more entertaining than that. We're going to talk tattoos, monsters. That's right, baby. Get ready for that. Straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes, and we're monitoring the situation in Southern California, where reports say a 5.2 magnitude earthquake centered in San Diego County was felt as far north as Los Angeles. California Governor Gavin Newsom has been briefed, and the state is coordinating with local authorities, according to the governor's office. Right now in Nashville, Metro Police looking for the suspect from a deadly stabbing at an elementary school in Madison this morning. Neighbors heard a woman's screams around 6 o'clock this morning. Police arrived at Chadwell Elementary School. They found a 52-year-old woman dead of stab wounds in the parking lot. Channel 4's Jordan James says the woman was part of the custodial staff there at Chadwell Elementary. They believe her estranged husband waited for her to arrive to work, and then that's when the attack happened.
Now, at this point, the woman's identity or the suspect have not been released at this point in time. We're still actively working to learn how this stabbing will impact district operations moving forward. I can tell you over the last few hours, we've seen district officials come here to the school as well as a cleaning crew who's now engaging in the painstaking job of having to clean up this crime scene.
So Chadwell Elementary classes have been temporarily moved to the former Graymar Middle School on Joyce Lane. Right now in our nation's capital, President Trump hosting El Salvador President Nayib Bukele at the White House. Bukele pledging continued support of Trump's deportation of illegal aliens with alleged gang ties, but says he will not return the Maryland man whom the Trump administration now says was not wrongly deported to El Salvador. This top Trump advisor, Stephen Miller, citing last week's Supreme Court decision on the matter.
So we had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation.
Yeah, they allege Garcia has ties to the MS-13 gang. Here's ABC's Catherine Faulders on last week's SCOTUS decision.
What the Supreme Court said is that the Trump administration must facilitate the return of Abrego Garcia after he was mistakenly sent to El Salvador, a mistake, by the way, that the U.S. government has admitted. The Supreme Court did send the case back to the lower court to determine, quote unquote, what deference Trump is owed related to foreign relations and that type of diplomacy. That is what the administration is latching onto here when they say that they won 9-0.
Space tourism company Blue Origin has sent its latest capsule load of paying passengers beyond the Kármán line. That's the edge of space. ABC's Jim Ryan says the all-female crew included some notable figures.
2, 1, ignition.
Among the 6 women aboard Blue Origin's New Shepard were entertainer Katy Perry and TV personality Gayle King, whose close friend Oprah Winfrey traveled to the West Texas desert to watch the launch.
It'll be 50 years next year. We've been friends since we were 21 and 22, and I have never been more proud of my friend.
The 11-minute ride into space, weightlessness, and return to the ground went off without a hitch.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
By the way, Ken,
yes,
I
sir.
just contacted my son living in San Diego. Hey, how was the earthquake? Dude, it was crazy. There you go. So you got a report live from there. It was crazy.
So it was moving some stuff.
Yeah, it moved some stuff. But there, I go, did you get out of school? He goes, no, they make us go back to school. Of course not. It's an earthquake, for God's sakes. Not a big one. Let's talk about crazy fun stuff. You guys know I do different things here on the show, which is always more entertaining than just talking about the same thing 24/7. I don't do that. It's not me. Ben and Stacey Dixon joining us, Full Moon Inc. So you got the Tattoo and Horror Festival going on this weekend, and I'm looking at all the people that are going to be there, and I'm super pumped and excited. Kane Hodder going to be there?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, no way. So if you guys don't know either, that's basically he is Jason for the most part. Pretty pumped about that. So let's talk about this. What's going on there? All right, Stacey.
Yeah. Hey, Stacey.
Hey. Well, we have live tattooing with artists from all over the country. There's probably about, what do you say, like 90 or so. And then we have celebrity guests, and we have vendors with really cool stuff. Like if you want some kind of cool, like Elvira purse or some sort of T-shirt that you can't find at, Spencer Hot Topic. And, we have a lot of contests, tattoo contests, and we're showing movies at the movie theater that we own at Full Moon Cineplex in Hermitage.
So let's talk about the movies. What movies do we get to see?
This weekend we've got Shocker.
Mitch Pileggi, right?
Mitch Pileggi, yes. He's going to be doing a little Q&A after the film. That's at 5 o'clock on Friday. 7 o'clock, we've got Scream, the original Scream, with Lee Waddell. He was the guy that played Ghostface.
Yeah, his voice. Yeah.
No,
the
actual,
original. Yeah, the original.
actor.
So he is
the stunt guy.
The stunt guy. So you got him showing up, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And for those, Mitch Pileggi, like that, maybe that name sounds familiar. He was probably more famous for being in the X-Files and things like that. But
X-Files.
he was Shocker. Shocker was such a awesome movie.
Oh, yeah. It scared me to death when I was a kid because, like, right after I watched it, I was probably about between 8 and 10, and our electricity completely went out in our house, and I was, like, freaked out. So.
By the way, solid parenting by your parents letting you watch that movie at 8 or 10. That's a good parenting thing. So now let's talk about, you go there, you get to meet all these people, and you've got a ton of people showing up here, which I love. And some people you're thinking, oh, you know, like you got Henry Thomas showing up.
Henry Thomas.
He's done some
absolutely.
stuff.
Oh, yeah. From an early age there, E.T., you know.
Is he like that's got to be the big. I mean, getting him to come because of E.T. I mean, he's done stuff that you know, some of the other horror stuff he's done now on Netflix and things like that. But obviously, E.T. as a kid, I mean, that's a huge thing.
Yeah. He was actually supposed to come last year, but he got tied up. He was working on a film over in Europe and it ran over, so he was not able to attend. So we got him to rebook for this year.
Who are you excited about seeing? Who haven't you met that you're like pumped about?
Well, Henry is cool. You know, we've never met him before. You know, David Howard Thornton. You know, Art the Clown is coming. That is pretty hot right now. That whole Terrifier thing.
Yeah, that Terrifier thing is huge. Even my kids who are, you know, they're young teenagers. They're like, they know who Art the Clown is.
Yeah. But a good friend that's been to the show before, William Forsythe. I mean, what a career that guy has had, and he's just a really down to earth guy.
I think my first question would be like, didn't Steven Seagal kill you in a movie?
I'm sure.
How'd you allow that to happen? So when you put something together like this, you know, you got the Tattoo and Horror Festival. It's going on April 18th through the 20th. You do this. How long does it take you to put together and get all these people to get themselves out here? Because I'm sure you're scheduling a year or two plus in advance.
Yeah, I mean, we go ahead and book the hotel a year in advance, but the real big planning usually starts about 6 months out because we run the haunted house as well, Slaughterhouse. So that's another huge event that we have to really kind of focus on. So right after haunt season, we'll take a couple of weeks, and then we're bouncing on to the festival.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool.
And it balances out good to kind of do the festival in the springtime. You know, it always falls on Easter. And then we do, of course, the haunted house, Slaughterhouse in the fall.
Well, nothing says Resurrection of Christ like a horror festival of tattoos. I mean,
welcome
you know,
to Nashville.
And I'm a believer and I'm inked up. I'm pumped about this. You know, how did you guys get into, like, obviously tattooing and stuff, but how did you get into the horror side? Because this is a big deal combining the two.
Yeah. Well, Stacy and I, we've been together almost 20 years and married almost 18. And we actually met working on a movie together that I was directing and needed a makeup artist, and was given Stacy's number. And, you know, when we met, I just fell head over heels and was like, you got the job, but, you know, do you want to go?
Do you want to date the director?
Would you like to
see
go
the way
out?
that works there in show business, Stacey? See the way that works?
And she was like, well.
I don't know.
It wasn't.
So people come out this weekend. They get to go out, not only going to meet these people, if they want to get inked, they can do that?
Sure. Yeah. The health department comes out Friday morning. All of it's licensed through the state health department.
Which is good.
Yes, absolutely.
Are you doing some inking, or?
It's just so much to go on. I stopped doing them at the show just because there's just so much that we have to do just to run it.
You're running around just like crazy. Yeah. And what about you? What's your big thing for the show? What are you going to be doing?
Just a lot of organizing and just kind of making sure everything's running smoothly, checking on the people up front, the registers, you know, the T-shirts, and just kind of keeping everybody on track and making sure there's no mishaps or anything, you know.
Yeah.
So when you're done with that tattoo, you run over to the theater to get that ready, right? Like how's all this work? Because you've got all these things going on.
Yeah, all these outlets. Yeah, so we've got a good team that helps us out at the movie theater. So, and then we've got a driver that kind of takes the stars over to the movie theater to do the intro or the Q&A after the film, and then they run them back. So But Friday night, we're playing Terrifier 2. So there's about 6 members of the cast from Terrifier that is coming.
Oh, nice.
And so we're playing Terrifier 2 at 9:30. So we're going to have to probably run over there ourselves and kind of help out with that as well.
I can't wait. I mean, I'm a big fan of horror movies and tattoos because that's just a win for everybody. But that's who I am. I look around this and I'm thinking to myself, so many of these people are just, like as a kid growing up watching Jason, right? Like, like, oh my God, or Scream or Annabelle Gish. I always had a crush on Annabelle Gish. She's going to be there. She was in, of course, a lot of different things. But it's like so awesome to have these people that come to these things and they soak it up. They do. It's one of those things where they probably thought, like Kane Hodder probably thought 40 years ago, I'm going to do this thing where I put this hockey mask on. I'm going to do this thing. I'm never going to do anything about this again. Now it's like, this is, you're typecast, but they love it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And, just kind of like the introduction too with horror, I think with Stacy, when she and I met, she went to Tom Savini, his makeup effects school in Pittsburgh. And that's where she learned special effects makeup and everything. And
we're all the great, by the way, makeup artists come out of Pittsburgh. You're like, there's no place. They don't go to Hollywood. They go to Pittsburgh. Also where Andy Warhol is from. So Tom Savini he's amazing. He's amazing. Yeah. Did you want to be like a special effects kind of makeup artist or?
Yeah. I've always loved horror, the horror genre. Even like 4 or 5 years old, my father and I would always go to the movie store and rent like movies and stuff, and I'd always do horror films. That's just what I loved. So I just kind of knew that by, my early 20s, that's what I wanted to do for sure. I wanted to be a special effects makeup artist. I was going to move to California, and I had my car hooked up to a U-Haul and got to Flagstaff, Arizona, and I was going to school out there, and I just had this gut feeling. I was like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. So I decided to turn back around and go to Nashville. And on the way back, I picked up a Fangoria, which, you don't really see those in print very much anymore. But Tom Savini had just opened up his school. So 2 weeks later, I was in Pittsburgh.
Was he teaching the classes?
Yeah, he would come in, maybe once a week or something and kind of help assist. But he had all his teachers. And
that is so cool. That's so cool. And then how about you? You're a tattoo artist. How'd you get into that?
Yeah, I got into tattooing.
Who was the nut job that said, dude, we're pals. You can bend.
Right.
You practice on me.
I was playing in a band, out of high school and stuff, playing drums, and got my first tattoo down in Memphis, hanging out with some buddies, and so I was like 17 then, and they didn't even have any state laws or anything of that, in Tennessee for tattooing, and then all of a sudden I decided, hey, I'm gonna stop the band life and start tattooing, and got an apprenticeship, and that was back in '91, long time ago.
Look at that. Now you're tattooing everywhere. Yes.
That's how Ben and I met, was through a local band called Every Mother's Nightmare. And he wasn't, we were mutual friends in that band. And then Ben has done probably 90% of the tattoos I have.
90% of the tattoos. Have you ever seen Bell's legs? We were talking about this earlier. Bell came up and said doesn't wear shorts. Right? Doesn't wear shorts at all. Thinks shorts are stupid. Thinks people who wear shorts are stupid.
I said none of that.
He said all of those things. And Ken and I wear shorts, and that's who we are. That's what we're about. But he says you've done 90% of his tattoos.
Yeah, I guess I have. I've put a lot of paint on old Bell.
That's cool. How has tattoo changed over the years? Because it used to be this thing where it was a different world, right? Like it's the end. You'd look at stuff and you'd see people who had the sailor. They had hardy kind of like looking stuff and all that kind of thing. And now you look at it and it's like, even these athletes go in and they're spending 30, 40 grand on a piece for their back. And they want it done in one day, and they're bringing anesthesiologists to do it.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. That's just kind of pushing it to another limit, I think, and I think there's going to be some, repercussions from that, I believe, with the anesthesia tattooing. I think you should earn it. I really do. I think you should get your tattoo and earn it, and that's the way it was meant to be, reason they're doing those things is so they can, have 3-4 people working on a back piece and get it all done in one day and stuff. And I don't know. It has changed. Dramatically from when I started, like 34 years ago. There were 2 tattoo shops in Nashville when I first started. and now there's probably over 80. I mean, it just really, really took off. The artwork and stuff is just phenomenal at this point now. It's just unbelievable what people are being able to do.
Yeah, I like it.
Hey, have him tell you the story about tattooing Keith Urban.
You tattooed Keith Urban, who, by the way, has the building next door, so you see him wandering around here all the time. We're like, Keith, get out. Come on.
Yeah.
You tattooed Keith, huh?
Yeah, several times. It was back, many years ago when I first started tattooing him. I did the famous Thunderbird on his forearm and tattooed his right arm with, put Nicole on the little banner and everything.
Oh, did you tell him, hey, dude, I'm going to put Nicole here? But usually when you start putting somebody's name, are you going to cross it out? Are you going to have something? Is this one sticking or is it not sticking?
They've been wonderful. They have definitely stuck together for sure.
Did you tattoo her? Did she get any?
No. We've met her. They when our little boy Phoenix was born, they sent flowers to the hospital, and Nicole held Phoenix when he was a little boy, and she was pregnant with their first one, and so yeah, Keith's an amazing artist, and it was cool to be able to do a lot of his work and stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah. So this weekend, people want to get tickets. People want to come out. Where do they go? How do they get tickets? And because it's a couple days, is everybody there each day, or you have like it split up? How's that work?
Yeah, all 3 days. All the people will be there except Dick Warlock. He's the guy from Michael Myers from Halloween 2. He's not going to be there on Sunday, but you don't tell him about the website.
Yeah, it's if you buy tickets now, they're a little cheaper, and if you buy them at the door, they do go up a little bit. Fullmooninc.net, right? You can buy them at fullmooninc.net. You can buy a single day, you can buy a 2-day, or you can buy the whole weekend.
The whole weekend. Now, does that include going to see movies? How's that work? Is there packages?
Yeah,
for
that package sold out. Yeah, we call it the Golden Skull, and that always sells out. That includes all the movies and all the other stuff. But you can buy movie tickets for the movies at fullmooncineplex.com, and just for single tickets over there.
Right on. Appreciate you guys coming in. Ben and Stacey Dixon, they've got their big thing going on. 22nd annual Full Moon Tattoo and Horror Festival going on this weekend. That's the 18th through the 20th. You can get tickets now. Go check it out. We'll put it up on the old Facebook and everywhere else. Appreciate you guys coming in today.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
This is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Lean into this. You don't want to be fat anymore? No, nobody does. Get off the chaos and craziness of dieting with Lean. I do it every day. 3 pills in the morning, no prescriptions, no injections. It's just simple and easy, and it's backed by science and doctors. First thing it does, it tackles 3 things. First of all, blood sugar, maintains that level. Secondly, and this is super important, cravings, knocks out the cravings, and then burns all the chunk and the fat, turns it into energy, which is what you want. Therefore, getting off the yo-yo dieting, which is bad for your heart, bad because it risks stroke, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, all of those things. Get yourself leaner, get yourself meaner, get yourself healthier with Lean. This is what I want you to do. Save 20%, get you started. Go to takelean.com. Use code Benson20 right now. That's takelean.com. Code Benson20. Get off the yo-yo diet insanity. Takelean.com. Code Benson20.
5.2 magnitude earthquake felt across Southern California, and a murder outside an elementary school in Nashville this morning. These stories and more coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
By the way, I spoke to my son in San Diego, in Mira Mesa.
Yes, sir.
And he said, it was crazy, Dad. That's it. That is the perfect 14-year-old report. Huh?
How powerful was it?
5.2, but it was big enough. It was big enough to give them a nice shake. I talked to my aunt, said, Laura, how bad was it? She goes, I thought it was a truck. So there you go.
Yeah.
You know, at school, you're going to feel something different than inside of a house because you're not quite sure, like, is that a big truck? And they're about 100 miles away. But my son said you could feel it. It was crazy. You know, stuff was shaking. You know, were people shaken up? Did somebody need to go see somebody for mental health? Because you never know in this day and age. Never know. Never know.
Is there a stress counselor on site?
Probably. Stress counselor. Go get tattooed this weekend. It'll be great for everybody. Uber story. Uber weird.
Sarah Buchan Ray was preparing to pick up her son Owen in Chicago from his return from Denmark when she learned,
Mom, I'm in prison in Copenhagen.
She says Owen and his friend were taking an Uber back to their hotel on March 31st when they realized they'd entered the wrong address and canceled the ride. According to the family's attorney,
the Uber driver came back around, got out of his car, and then proceeded to kick Owen in the groin.
Uber telling ABC News the driver reported to Uber that he was assaulted by two riders.
Now, was he or wasn't he? Earlier today, this lady is a former CIA intelligence officer who worked mostly throughout Scandinavia and parts of Eastern Europe and whatnot, talked about, you know, there's conflicting stories, but also they're not like us when it comes to holding people and how long they can hold them without kind of charges.
There's a bit more to this story, in my opinion, other than just not settling a fare. The cab driver did go to the hospital for various wounds that he sustained, and now he is alleging a pretty severe assault that the boys inflicted on him. Now, I don't know, obviously, if that's true, and I do not know what precipitated all of it, but my guess is that's why they are being held for as long as they are.
Well, I have news for you. No matter where you are in the world, if you kick me in the grundle, chances are we're going to have some words after I get up.
I was getting ready to say.
After I get up, we're going to have some words, sir.
Look out!
So Mills is actually right. So in Denmark, it's about 4 weeks. That's pretty typical. I worked extensively actually with the Danes during my time at the CIA. And yes, their legal system is incredibly different than ours. My guess is the reasoning that they are being held for as long as they are is because of the flight risk issue. It's not to say they would leave the country. That I don't know. That is something that the U.S. Embassy is going to have to work out. Whether or not they take their passports, that may be something that they can work out, let them free on essentially a parole, but they can really hold them for up to 4 weeks without any charges.
How crazy is that? So 4 weeks without any charges. And I don't know. I mean, you've got to be careful when you're in somebody else's country. You do not know, if you don't understand their world and their laws, you have to be careful. And on top of that, as she points out, maybe you need to film everything. If you're dealing with a human being now, film it, and then they'll film it, and then that way everybody can have competing viewpoints in situations.
I don't want to ever tell anyone to not travel, right, as a result of this, because I don't think that that's effective in any way, shape, or form. But I do think not engaging with anyone, I understand, I don't know who started, obviously, the fight in regards to this, but not going forward with that assault probably would have been the best place to start. Obviously, also always have your cell phone recording. Start the record button on your cell phone so they're not just relying on the cab driver's version of events. So if you see yourself in a difficult situation, that would be my first piece of advice.
And if you're going to travel, know the rules, know the laws, but know that there's situations that if you get caught in a situation, their rules are different. Their laws. I was telling my wife the other day, because she always wants to go, I want to go see we played soccer. I want to go to Europe. I want to see some of your friends and stuff. And I said, you know what? Based on the stuff that I have tweeted and said in the past, to be honest with you, I'm not sure I want to go over there.
You may not get in.
Yeah, I may not get in. So I don't know if I want to do that. That's how weird and uncomfortable it's become in certain parts of these places. And you've got to know the laws and the rules. But 24 days without being charged, they can hold you. So what's going on now is the embassy's going, come on, guys, this is ridiculous, right? So it's he said, let's get this done. And this is what having, diplomatic ties helps you out with. So we'll see how this goes. And you know what? You also go, look, guys, if you're going to be this way, we're going to have to really take Greenland, and you don't want that. Not over kids and Uber. That's all I'm saying. Coming up, maybe we'll talk politics, some tariff stuff. We'll get to that. I got a lot of other stuff to get to as well. If you miss any of the show, you can always text us. We got some of your text messages coming up. Some of those still Bell and his legs. Some other people calling Bell and I Satanists. That's not a good thing.
Satanist.
Where did that come from?
Because we talked to the tattoo people.
Oh, well, okay, fine.
So we're Satanists.
Like
and they're having a horror show on Easter. So therefore, Satan.
And you're both Blue Oyster Cult fans.
We are both Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah.
That's correct.
I love Motley Crue's Shout at the Devil album.
Shout at the devil. AC/DC. You know what that means. Antichrist, devil child. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 5 minutes, and a preliminary 5.2 magnitude earthquake has struck Julian, California. 7 aftershocks reported. No reports of damage. Governor Newsom's been briefed, coordinating with first responders to assess any damage and emergency response if needed. Apparently, this thing was felt up all the way in L.A. No tsunami warning is expected. Right now in Nashville, Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac says Metro Police looking for the killer from a deadly stabbing in the parking lot of Chadwell Elementary School in Madison this morning.
A 52-year-old woman, according to police, she worked here as a custodian, and she was killed after being stabbed to death. It happened in the school's parking lot just before 6 o'clock this morning. Police say the woman's estranged husband may have been waiting for her when she got to work.
Yeah, police have issued an arrest warrant charging criminal homicide against Candido Raul Rubio Perez. He's a 54-year-old man. He is the one charged now in the death of his estranged wife. They have now identified the victim here as 52-year-old Nuruka Alfonso Acevedo. Chadwell Elementary classes have been temporarily moved to the former Graymar Middle School on Joyce Lane for the investigation. President Trump's hosting El Salvador President Nayib Bukele at the White House. Bukele pledging ongoing support for Trump's deportation of illegal aliens with alleged gang ties. Bukele says he will not return Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man the Trump administration deported from Maryland a month ago for alleged MS-13 gang ties. And right now in Minnesota, someone was arrested outside United Healthcare campus. Been a little more than 4 months since the company's CEO, Brian Thompson, was gunned down in New York City. The Minnetonka Police Department saying there's no threat to the public after this morning's arrest. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Beacon Capital Management wants to help you when it comes to your retirement. Are you retired? Are you getting close to retirement? Are you worried about all of the things going on, right? It's uncomfortable. You're seeing the ups, the downs, the unsettled world that we're living in. Beacon wants to help you, getting you out a full retirement-ready toolkit. This includes a Money Enough for Life book, retirement planning checklist, and maximizing your retirement income white paper. No cost, no obligation, and no pressure. And why Beacon is so unique is because of what they do outside of that. It's not just about your portfolio and your money. Of course, numbers matter. But what about tax planning, estate planning, even healthcare? Those things can be stressful and time-consuming. Beacon does it right. Call them today. Get your free retirement-ready toolkit, 615-488-9303. They're going to get it out to you again. No pressure, Sit down, shake their hands right here locally, 615-488-9303, or online at AskBeaconNow.com. What the hell is going on in our country? You guys haven't heard over the weekend. First of all, I think we've lost the plot. You just reported somebody outside of another healthcare company, same healthcare company, right?
Same one, yeah. United Healthcare campus there in Minnetonka, Minnesota.
And then over the weekend, some nut job wanders into the mansion of the Pennsylvania governor, Josh Shapiro, tries to light the damn thing on fire.
The fire blackened damage evident. Part of the mansion left uninhabitable. The governor and his family were gathered Saturday evening with 24 others celebrating the first night of Passover. At 2 a.m., that very room was engulfed in fire. The governor and his family were asleep inside, police rushing in to rouse them. Authorities now charging 38-year-old Cody Balmer of Harrisburg with aggravated arson, attempted murder, and terrorism.
Yeah. Just to name a few things. On top of that, this guy was such a nut. They think mental health may have played an issue with it because apparently he said he was going to take a hammer if they were home, which they were, and go all Nancy Pelosi-ish or whatever that was. Remember that guy? What's up with the hammers and politicians? Enough. Enough. You nut jobs. And looking at him, and I don't want to cast aspersions. I don't want to judge people. I get judged enough for my tattoos. Trust me, Bell and I hear it enough out there. Bell, you guys would know Bell because he doesn't wear shorts and he's got no head. But, you know, I mean, he's not a Satanist. No matter what somebody says out there, that it's your cats know it, and so does your snake.
It would take too much energy to be a Satanist, and I just don't have that in me.
I don't have that kind of time. But
oh, that might burn.
It might. But we got issues, right? We've got issues in this country with people that somehow think this is fine. And here's something. Here's a perfect example. Taylor Lorenz, you don't know who she is. She was the Washington Post. She's the libs of TikTok and her battle it out like there's no tomorrow. Taylor Lorenz was doing an interview talking. Now, this is supposed to be a person who is a journalist talking about Tyler Mangione.
To see these millionaire media pundits on TV clutching their pearls about someone standing a murderer when this is the United States of America, as if we don't lionize criminals, as if we don't have, we don't stand murderers of all sorts, and we give them Netflix shows. There's a huge disconnect between the narratives and angles that sort of mainstream media pushes and what the American public feels. And you see that in moments like this. And I can tell you, I saw the biggest audience growth that I've ever seen because people were like, oh, some journalist is actually speaking to the anger that we feel.
The women who gather outside court in New York.
So you're going to see women especially that feel like, oh my God, right? Like here's this man who's revolutionary, who's famous, who's handsome, who's young, who's smart. He's a person that seems this morally good man, which is hard to find.
He's a morally good man, guys. I know he murdered somebody in cold blood after stalking him, but he's a morally good man.
Yeah, I just realized women will literally date an assassin before they swipe right on me. That's where we are. I'm sure you wouldn't like to be compared to a Trump supporter, but some of how people cannot understand why people have sympathies for Mangione strikes me as the same as a lot of media not understanding why people support Trump.
I totally agree.
It's because a lot of people are just really, really desperate.
They want somebody to take on the system. They want somebody to tear down these barbaric establishment institutions.
They're barbaric. They're establishment institution. Well, you know what? I'm not a fan of the way that healthcare works. I think our healthcare system's broke. I don't think we allow enough opportunity to shop in a real way, cross state lines, find the best deals for us. We try to make everything, this cookie cutter. It's expensive. It's convoluted. I understand frustration, but hunting a man down and killing them is not a reason to celebrate. And you're out there laughing at us. And now this was on a CNN, I guess it was like a documentary thing that they did, and it was on last night. And very little was touched upon when it came to the left. Everything was on the right. The right is evil. The right is bad. The usual stuff like that. And one of the things that this lady, she only wanted to date right-wingers for the story, right? Get into the manosphere. And it is hilarious listening to her because I know a lot of right-wingers. And first of all, most of them would never even talk politics on a date at all. But that's her whole goal.
This is Vera Papasova. She spent the last year dating far-right men in New York City for a story for Cosmopolitan magazine.
They're the most insecure men I've ever sat down with. It was really difficult to have some of these dates because they were so insecure, because they don't really know who they are and they don't know how to figure that out.
She said the men she dated got all their news and information from the so-called manosphere.
They did not listen to anything else. They're only listening to independent media, and they're only listening to men talking to men.
Well, first of all, what's wrong with independent media? I love independent media. It's amazing. That's what you should listen to, is independent media. And if you want to listen to establishment media, but notice that she comes from an established media side. She's looking for extreme far right. She could add 100 dates, but she's only going to pick the 2 or 3 that are the worst type of dates. And I'm not saying there's not a bunch of nut jobs out there, but you don't think it's the other way around? You don't think that the way that they came at this, especially at a time when you've got not 1, but 2 assassination attempts on Trump. Then you had a kid this weekend who was arrested, which we haven't even gotten to, right? Ken, you saw that. The dude who killed his 2 parents and wanted to kill Trump.
I did not see that.
To start a race war. Oh, we're going to talk about him in a minute. Again, lunacy over this, but you're just going out and you're picking crazy because it works for the story.
They love the UFC guys. They love the MMA guys because those guys do what they can. They're modern gladiators. They're badass. One of these guys brought me to a political meeting.
And did they talk about politics?
Barely. They talked about, it was a bunch of men complaining about girlfriends and wives, regurgitating Andrew Tate type of advice about how to train your girlfriend, how to train your wife to be submissive. And so this group was supposed to be a political group, but they're talking about relationship problems.
It was probably just a bunch of guys golfing, bitching. God, man, my wife didn't want me to come out today. How'd you get your wife to come out? Oh, you didn't get married. Oh, yeah. That's probably what it was. Like, this is just one of those things. Hey, I'm, again, not saying there's not wackadoos out there. I run into a lot of you. Okay? I get a text from people who are a bit off. Not saying that isn't out there, but I'm always curious. I would like to run into some of these people. I don't. I mean, I get texts from some people, but I don't get like the insane things that I hear about, especially on the right. And let me tell you something. The left listens to me. Yeah, they do. And I'm totally cool with that because I think we should be listening to everybody. But I will get some of you who are very MAGA, and if I don't follow a certain narrative, you freak out, you say certain things. But nothing like the left does. The vile and the hate I get from the left is tremendous.
The fact that that's what most of the time was spent on. You don't need to be a neo-Nazi. You need therapy. They speak liberal, they have liberal friends, and then they go online and they are a white supremacist. You have to incentivize someone to want to be better. You can't just say, let's make men better.
You have to incentivize the man? Wow, it sounds like you're trying to train a man. Is that wrong? Is that what it sounds like? Or am I missing something?
The thing about these guys is their biggest support system is online, but that also is very isolating, and isolation is what breeds hatred. People have to really think about, do you have the capacity to talk to people that you don't agree with? Because that one nice conversation you might have might change someone's day enough to not have to seek out help in an online support group, which is actually a bunch of white supremacists using political beliefs as an excuse for how they feel.
Wow. I don't even know. Where do you even go to have a conversation like that? They still have those things? They have chat rooms anymore? That's how long it's been. Like, Bell looked at me like, I have no Friendster? Where do you go? MySpace?
MySpace.
Bumble.
Oh.
You go through Farmtown on Facebook.
Yeah, there you go.
What it is? Dude, I like what you're growing over there. By the way, Heil Hitler. When I say that, how does it make you feel? You want to be my pal? I don't even know where this stuff is. Like, I don't even, I'm in it, right? This is what I do for a living.
Yeah.
I'm in it. And are there some wackadoos out there? Yes. And look, I find Andrew Tate deplorable, but he's caricature. And he's also, I think, done some stuff that, will be found out, I think, in courts, but we'll let that play itself out. But that manosphere thing, those people are caricatures. I've yet to see somebody who really buys into 100% of that stuff. But, I went out with these guys, and they were just like that. It was just, oh, my God, it was just the worst. And it was, I'm sure there is, especially maybe among some young people, young men in particular, you will find some stuff like that. But come on. I mean, you're out there, and I watch some of this stuff, and it's like, well, most of the violence and the anger comes from the right side of the aisle.
What, mashed potatoes on the side of my car here? Is that what that is? Mashed potatoes? Did you or didn't you? Because I've got cameras up there facing you. And I've got you on camera.
Showing who threw that here. Get off of my side of the driveway. Now!
I'm not on your side. This is the middle.
No, it isn't.
You want to bet?
You are trespassing.
Have a look-see.
You are trespassing.
This is my side.
Get off of my parking area.
That is a lady who's mad at a Tesla driver parking too close to what she thinks is her side, so she attacked his car with potatoes.
Listen, did you throw mashed potatoes?
Get out of here!
Fast food on the side of my Tesla?
Here. Now!
Why did you throw fast food on the side of my Tesla? You threw mashed potatoes on my car. What is wrong with you? You're gonna go to jail. You vandalized
of my property.
You vandalized my $130,000 car.
Oh God! Get out of here, Mark. You're an ass. You sit here, you drive in, you drive out, you have junk cars all over.
What do? You drive in and you drive out. That's what people do in their driveways, you moron.
Get out of here. Get off of my property.
You sit here and you drive in your car into your driveway and then you drive out. Well, what are you supposed to do? She put mashed potatoes all over his car.
That's vandalism.
Yeah. By the way, she sounds lovely.
Also a really bad waste of mashed potatoes.
A really bad waste of mashed potatoes. She sounds lovely, by the way.
Yeah.
I can't believe you're single. Some of you chiming in about he sounds like a teacher from South Park. Did she bring receipts? The lady from CNN. She sounds like a CNN analyst. Probably should just stay up. Wouldn't know what a real man looks like if she's got a daddy issue. Sounds like she's got daddy issues. It's just you're trying to prove a point. And the point is, in your mind, the right is evil, and let us tell you how we can fix you. Even she said that. We need to learn how to fix and train the men. Well, aren't you mad because you think they're trying to train you? No, you shouldn't try to train anybody. You shouldn't. And I'm still waiting for, I don't know, we got to find out where these things are. These I don't know, meetings where people go and they gripe about women. Golf course.
Dinner Saturday with the guys.
Yeah. Bowling. Went to this crazy meeting. I'd never seen it before. They were rolling a ball towards other white things, and they were very angry.
Clearly KKK inspired.
Do not mess with the Jesus.
That's right. I love that. He got his own movie. Remember that?
John Turturro?
Yeah, he got his own movie about that.
As that character?
Yeah, as that character.
Really?
Yeah. You didn't know that? I will find it for you. It's funny. Yeah, it's all do not mess with the Jesus. It's all the bowling alley thing again. Hilarious. Hilarious. Coming up, more stuff on the fun and frivolity is the Monday edition of the Chad Benson Show. Super Tough 99.7. Rough Greens, RUFFgreens.com. Use my code Chad. Get a Jumpstart trial bag of the best supplement you will ever give your dog. It's a $20 trial bag. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping. It's just a few bucks. Then take the 90-day challenge. First 90 days, you're going to notice something that's amazing with your dog. First and foremost, energy levels pick up first 30 days, and their coat gets shinier. Coat is going to be fuller by day 60. You're going to notice an improvement in their mobility, and their immune system is going to improve. And by day 90, full, thick coat, absolutely very little shedding, right? Their immune system's improved. Their digestive tract is improved. Their heart health is improved. It's awesome. Take the 90-day challenge with Rough Greens and get a Jumpstart trial bag right now, a $20 value. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Use my code Chad, roughgreens.com. Use code Chad. Get that $20 value back for free now. Roughgreens.com. Use code Chad.
Earthquake in California, a murder outside an elementary school in Nashville, and the Trump administration and the president of El Salvador say that Maryland man deported a month ago for alleged gang ties isn't going anywhere. We'll tell you about it at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Sorry, Ken, I can't get him out. I've spoke to this guy over here, Bukalele. What's your name? Nah, great name, fantastic. I would name yourself Bukalele. Can't get him out. Neither can he. It's his country. He doesn't know where he's at either. That's really, you guys can't get him out, really. Again, my thing is, and some of you are like, who cares where he is? No, we care because why would we send somebody away and sentence them potentially to life in prison if they're not even going to get a trial? And as Ken laughed and earlier said, yeah, I don't think there's a lot of due process going on there. By the way, Ken, just let you know, that movie's called The Jesus Rolls.
The Jesus Rolls.
Yes, okay. The Jesus Rolls is the name of that film. So it's kind of a spin-off of that movie. Crime and romance.
That was such a great scene.
So be prepared for the Jesus Rolls. And just spoke to another person in California. My son said, I said, are you okay? Yeah, it was fun. My uncle, hey, did you feel the earthquake? Yeah, it was an easy one. There you go. There's California for you.
That's like tornadoes in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something.
Yeah, there it was. I mean, but tornadoes, like we've talked about before, you kind of get a sense of what might be popping.
You get a warning.
Yeah. There's none of that there in California. There's no warning. There wasn't a waking up this morning going, hey, guys, we're on a 3.5 out of 5 potential for an earthquake today.
Yeah.
So be prepared.
Feels kind of shaky out there in the atmosphere.
We see the shake coming. It's starting to create underground. You just know at some point in time you're going to have one of those things. So, but everybody's going to survive. I don't think there's too much damage done.
I think we'd know about it by now.
Yeah, and in California, too, it's one of those things where like a house, like a chimney fell down. That's a $7 million damage. Will take at least 12 years to rebuild. At least. Real ID deadline coming soon.
If you're flying anywhere in the U.S., out of a U.S. airport, you will need to show TSA agents a real ID driver's license or another form of compliant ID. It pretty much looks like your old ID, just with a little star on it, and it's a must-have by May 7th.
So Wednesday, we have Afton coming in, right?
Yeah, Representative Afton Baines coming in on Wednesday at 1 to talk about the real ID requirements.
Because confusion, I think some frustration from people thinking they brought enough, they didn't bring enough. What do you bring? What exactly do you need? How many forms? It's so funny they're making us get real ID, and everybody seems to be okay with that on the right and the left. Yet when we talk about
voter ID,
it's like racism. God, this real ID must pretty much just end any opportunity of people of color voting or getting an ID.
Well, clearly people of color can't get IDs, so this is being done. It's a racist move to make sure the skies stay white.
20 years in the making.
Actually, at this point, it's 24.
24. When did they come out with this?
It's 2020. It was 20.
It was 2000.
It was 22 years because it was 2002.
Okay, that's when they've kicked the can, and I would not be surprised if you find that they, kick it out another month or so because people are racing to get this done. But we got to maybe do it or not. And if you got a passport, that kind of, overdoes everything. But still, get that real ID, kids, is what we're trying to tell you. So she's going to join us Wednesday at 1 to talk about real ID and how you can get it, what you need. Coming up, hour number 3 of the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And right now in Southern California, Alex Stone says shaking started the day for everyone in Southern California. 5.2 magnitude earthquake caused a little bit of rattling, he says.
We even got the earthquake early warning alerts here in L.A. telling us to duck and cover. I know I got under my desk. Everybody else here in the office did as well. We didn't feel any shaking here, but the system was alerting that earthquake in San Diego County could have made it all the way up to L.A., and could have created shaking here as well.
Right now in Nashville, the search is on for the estranged husband of a custodian who was found stabbed to death this morning in the parking lot at Chadwell Elementary School in Madison. Channel 4's Joy Lynn Bukovac says police believe the killer waited for the victim to arrive to work to attack her.
Now, as far as safety for students and staff members, MMPS has moved all of them to the former Gray Maher Middle School while police continue their investigation. Police say right now there's no ongoing threat to the public or students at this time.
Metro Police have issued an arrest warrant charging 54-year-old Candido Raul Rubio Perez with criminal homicide. His estranged wife identified as 52-year-old Nayurka Alfonso Acevedo. Right now in our nation's capital, President Trump hosting El Salvador President Nayib Bukele. Bukele pledging ongoing support of Trump's deportation of illegal immigrants with alleged gang ties. And Bukele says he will not return the man in Maryland deported a month ago for alleged ties to MS-13, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. The Trump administration says they're not going to go get him. The White House declaring victory via that SCOTUS ruling on the return of Garcia last week. The administration appears to be hung up on the word facilitate, with Attorney General Pam Bondi interpreting it as the U.S. should provide the transportation if El Salvador approves the release of Garcia from that high-security prison. Catherine Folders explains.
There will be a hearing tomorrow in the district court where much of this will be addressed, but it does set up what could be viewed as the administration potentially defying an order from the Supreme Court, given they don't believe that the Supreme Court is saying that the administration needs to facilitate his return when they very clearly did say that in their order last week.
Well, top Trump advisor Stephen Miller now rejects the idea the government mistakenly sent Garcia back to his home country. Miller says that admission was made by a government lawyer who's now been taken off the case, a man Miller now calls a saboteur. And one Texas community went to the dogs over the weekend. Here's Sherry Preston.
The community of Bee Cave, Texas, welcomed a lot of four-legged friends over the weekend at the world's largest golden retriever meetup. It was organized by a local photographer, Alex Hopes.
People were just eager to be around the joy that is golden retrievers.
More than 1,200 dogs attended the event. All the proceeds from ticket sales went to a local rescue. The event featured dog races, a toy run, and an Air Bud look-alike contest.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
A lot of you guys chiming in about the real IDs. We finished up the last hour. Some people are like, I got it a long time ago. You know, in California, I went on several occasions, as well as Arizona. They were not prepared to do a real ID. So it's like
you're claiming government was unprepared.
Shocker,
sir,
I know.
These kind of dishonesty cannot fly.
And one person said, you know what? The stuff they want you to bring is ridiculous. Just go get a passport. Because if you got a passport, you can go anywhere. So it doesn't matter.
I mean, that functions as a real ID.
That functions as a real
right?
ID, a social security card, everything that you want. It is the all-encompassing everything.
Well, it's because you've got everything. You have to have everything to get one.
Yeah.
It proves you are who you say you are.
Just don't try to use it as a driver's license.
No, but as long as you have a regular old driver's license, you're fine. You know? Yeah. So, and
I got one of those.
There you go. So there you go. It's just easier to get a passport at this point in time. So what some people are saying, if you want to fly. Fly, fly, fly. DEI, that is diversity, equity, inclusion. The battle of Trump via the colleges is going on. And Harvard's doing something where they're looking at Trump and saying,
Professor, thanks so much for being here with us. I do want to start with some news we're just getting, which is that your president of this university, Harvard, Alan Gerber, is announced just minutes ago that the school will not comply with the Trump administration's demands. He said, quote, the university will not negotiate over its independence or its constitutional rights. I just want to hear from you. Where does this leave your lawsuit, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I'm really grateful for President Garber for exercising such leadership here because...
By the way, it just sounds... You hear that voice, you're like, strong voice right there. Got strong voice.
What the President of the United States is demanding of universities is nothing short of authoritarian. There's a quote on the building of the Department of Justice where law ends, tyranny begins. And tyranny, frankly, is the only word to describe what the Trump administration is doing with respect to universities. He's seeking to block funding, billions of dollars to university hospitals, to medical research, without any legal authority. He is violating the First Amendment rights of universities and faculty by demanding that if universities want to keep this money, they have to suppress our speech and change what we teach and how we study. And he's doing all of this and issuing all of these demands in defiance of any kind of legal limit that would prohibit him from making these sorts of demands. So our lawsuit is contesting the legality of all of this. We're trying to defend the First Amendment in this context, and we're really grateful that President Garber appears to have gotten the same message, that there's just no complying and no negotiating with an authoritarian demand like this.
Now, in saying this, diversity, equity, inclusion is no way to run anything. It's great to give people opportunities. It is great to give people the chance that maybe if they wouldn't get, you could see something in somebody and go, you know, this person needs it. Like Costco is a perfect example of how they go about and they've had their, and it's not diversity, equity, inclusion. They've had their situation for the, you know, what they've set up a program for the last I mean, it's been 3+ decades. And they, you know, Robbie Starbuck and a lot of people have gone after him, and they're not going to change. And, you know, this is also one of those companies where we're like, you know, we're not going to not go to Costco. But the way they do it is they see something in somebody who maybe doesn't have the same qualifications that others have, and rather than put them in something that they're not qualified for, they give them an opportunity, train them, and teach them. This diversity, equity, inclusion, first of all, equity is the dumbest thing. Equity says we're all getting the same. This is the equity we're all getting out of it. Whatever you put in doesn't matter because we're all getting it up. Boom. That's no. Diversity, no. Inclusion's great. Let's include people, give people opportunities. But this baloney that they scream and yell out on college campuses, they don't allow too many dissenting voices there. And this all stems from, and here's the other side of it, though, from their side, is there is big money and big lobbyists, in particular, you know, the Anti-Defamation League and several others who are part of, you know, the Israeli side, who are asking Trump to go after these colleges because of anti-Semitism. Okay, I don't want anti-Semitism. Look, I don't want anti-Semitism. I know nobody does. That being said, I think some of it's a little ridiculous, but I also think the fact that you would ask a professor who wants to be, a scientist who you want to get on your staff, you don't care about their science. You care more about their diversity, equity, inclusion, like what is your stand on this, and this, not whether or not you're a great scientist. That's insane. Where is the common sense? Well, it's gone. And by the way, don't worry too much about Harvard. Are you ready for this? They have $53.2 billion in their endowment. And where they have failed is they didn't do enough when stuff was heating up on campus, when it came to anti-Semitism. And that is their big problem. If you would have squashed a lot of this stuff, not taking away people's free speech, but taking away the fear factor that a lot of kids have, I bet you wouldn't be in this situation.
The Trump administration says it's doing all of this in an effort to combat anti-Semitism on campus, and they've alleged that Harvard didn't do enough to combat anti-Semitism and protect Jewish students. Do you think Harvard did enough, and have proper changes been made?
Yeah, so I think the best way of describing what the administration is doing is its pretext. So this task force calls itself the Joint Task Force to Combat Anti-Semitism, but the law that governs civil rights, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, includes procedures for how to investigate discrimination and ensure that discrimination is purged from recipients of federal funding. It, I think, is the university's responsibility to ensure that all students feel safe and protected. The Civil Rights Act demands that any recipient of federal funding try to eliminate all discrimination. And yet, the Trump administration is ignoring that law completely. The law does not permit the administration to simply take billions of dollars away from Boston's Children's Hospital. It doesn't permit the president of the United States to demand, as it most recently did, that Harvard should reduce the power of the faculty or eliminate all DEI programs. And really, if you look at what the task force is demanding, not just of Harvard, but of Columbia University or Princeton or the University of Pennsylvania, the main thing that unites this attack on universities is that the Trump administration does not like universities. It does not like our politics. It's trying to take money away because of policies regarding transgender athletes or because its research on climate change is causing anxiety. So anti-Semitism is really just a pretext for what is really an authoritarian attack on higher education.
Well, first of all, let's talk about the politics. Left-leaning, not even just kind of, sort of, but a whole bunch. And as we have talked about, when it comes to the anti-Semitism, take some of that away. Let's just take the anti-Semitism away. Put anybody else in that position where it was talking about an LGBTQ plus student, talking about women, talking about people of color, how would that have gone over? The college would have handled it. But with the Jewish students, it became something completely different. Because the majority of the students there are all left-leaning. And it's not even close, right? Because the professors are. And these are the people that are going to supposedly run the country. So let's take that away. So when you want to talk about politics, you're fine with diversity as long as it's what you believe. You don't want to have any argument, conversation, debate about any of that stuff. And I am totally cool. Let's have a conversation about all kinds of stuff. But slow your roll there. And do I think we should be taking money away from research facilities? No, I think that, we look at stuff. And you can come up with a common sense way of saying, look, if you're going to make diversity, equity, inclusion a part of this research facility as the number one standard bearer for somebody to work here, then you're not going to get the money. If you want to make it as part of your baloney for getting into the humanitarians, knock yourself out. Right? We'll give money over here to the research facility, but not over there. But all of these things are going to end up the same place that everything Trump does, which is Supreme Court. That's where these things are going to end up. And you can also tell who's got money and who doesn't. So while this is going on, right, and you got $53 billion in the bank and you think, well, we could bide our time, But they can't bide their time forever because, remember, a lot of their big donors were Jewish. And they decided, hey, we're not going to be given anymore to these schools based on a lot of what we have seen and how we have, our students have felt there. On the other side of it, you have some other colleges that go, you know what, we're going to get rid of this stuff.
Well, the James Madison University is now one of the many colleges across the nation doing away with DEI. On Friday, the university announced it was dissolving its Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. The decision comes after President Trump's executive order to withhold funding from institutions with DEI programs. Our Shelby Martin was on campus Sunday, and she shares what students and alumni had to say about JMU's decision.
By the way, $53 billion for Harvard, $155 million for James Madison. Just a bit different.
Well, universities throughout the United States are cracking down on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And James Madison University in Harrisonburg is one of the latest schools to follow suit.
On Friday, JMU's Board of Visitors accepted a resolution without dissent to discontinue the university's division of DEI.
Money talks. If you've got $53 billion in the bank, you could probably ride it out a little bit longer than other people can. There's no doubt. And I am all about giving people opportunities. I'm all about being, this is the thing. We turned giving people a chance. We turned being welcoming into politics, which is a hot freaking mess. It is. It's an absolute, anytime politics gets into something, it's going to go sideways because people are going to hijack it for their own. They're going to use it to divide and make money. They're going to do all of these things. And this is what happens when politics gets involved. Giving people opportunities is a wonderful thing. Finding where their strengths are and helping them is a wonderful thing. And it doesn't matter if you're a poor white kid, a poor black kid, a rich, but it doesn't matter. The color means nothing. Giving people opportunities is a wonderful thing. Once it became something that people use as control and as a measuring stick for politics on the campus is when everything started to change. And it's not changed for the better. And I don't know how many times I read report after report after report after report after study that says what? Diversity, equity, inclusion actually was worse for our company, worse for our school, because what it ended up doing was driving a wedge between people, making people angry. People weren't as friendly and as open with one another. It's not hard to see. Where's the common sense? This is the left. The left thinks that this is something that's phenomenal. And it's not. It's a business, and it's great at dividing and trying to find more customers, all in the sake of we're doing a great thing for somebody. But at the end of the day, it's just a business. And business, with the algorithms and everything else, has been booming. But right now, Trump's going to take it on, and we'll see, because it's going straight to, yes, kids, the courts. Coming up, speaking of business, we'll talk a little immigration straight ahead. He will not be coming back, according to Bukele. And that, of course, is this Mr. Garcia fellow who happens to be in El Salvador. Talk a little bit about that, bunch of other stuff straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Birch gold. There's gold, there's gold, there's gold. Why gold? Because uncertainty in the market. Inflation, great place to stick your money out of fear that something may go sideways. When it comes to not only inflation, the weakening of the dollar, the potential of recession, tariffs, global conflict, unsteadiness, gold has always been a safe haven. And smart money heads there. A great way to protect yourself, protect the things that you've built over time. And that's what gold offers. Birch is going to help you with that. I want you to text the word Benson to 989898 today. They're going to get you out a free info kit. They're who I buy my gold from. It's just a smart thing to do. Diversification is key. And this is a great way to diversify with the upside potential that is awesome right now, especially in these uncertain times. If you've ever thought about gold, Birch is awesome. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Text them today. use the word Benson to 989898 to get your free info kit from Birch Gold.
Murder outside a Nashville elementary school. We'll tell you about that story and more at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
What the Supreme Court said is that the Trump administration must facilitate the return of Abrego Garcia after he was mistakenly sent to El Salvador, a mistake, by the way, that the U.S. government has admitted. The Supreme Court did send the case back to the lower court to determine, quote unquote, what deference Trump is owed related to foreign relations and that type of diplomacy. That is what the administration is latching onto here when they say that they won 9-0.
So I'm trying to figure out, because what I understood was that Trump had to make all reasonable efforts to get him back. Did not say you absolutely must get him back. You had to make an effort. And the president, Bukalele, said today, no, not going to do it. What are we going to have to do? Sneak him back into the country?
There will be a hearing tomorrow in the district court where much of this will be addressed, but it does set up what could be viewed as the administration potentially defying an order from the Supreme Court, given they don't believe that the Supreme Court is saying that the administration needs to facilitate his return when they very clearly did say that in their order last week.
And we'll find out. Now, if they absolutely said, no, it's not you must try, but you absolutely must, then that's a different story. And if you start defying the Supreme Court, we can't have that. We as a nation can't have that. And it doesn't mean that he comes back here and everybody celebrates and he gets, he may be come back here, land, go before an immigration judge, be adjudicated, given him the opportunity to have his hearing, of which he was already told that he couldn't be removed, but he was. And then he could be then removed again. But from what I understood, the first time around, it was you must make a reasonable effort, right? Because we talked about it last week. Remember, didn't she want something in writing every day? Dear Judge, we tried again today. They said no.
Yeah, she wanted it in writing every day.
Yeah.
An accounting.
Yeah. But a reasonable effort, not assured 100% you're going to give him back. And apparently he is alive and well. Here is the president of El Salvador.
Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world. No, that's not going to happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, released into
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people.
Sick, super sick. Couldn't get any sicker. But I thought there was a reasonable expectation that you would make an effort to get him back. And they did make an effort and found out that he was alive, which is good. And Ken, you and I both it's not us, so it's easier to kind of have a little laugh about that. Probably not a lot of due process going on over there. And I don't think he's been sentenced outside of he landed and now he's in jail, and that's where he lives for who knows how long. Because many of those people I don't think are ever convicted of anything. They're just in jail. Which is, that's not who we are, but I don't live in El Salvador. And they had issues, obviously, in El Salvador for many, many decades about what a nightmare it was, how safe it is now. So we'll find out if this gets back up to the Supreme Court and he starts to defy Supreme Court rulings, then there's going to be an issue. But my understanding, the first go-round was an effort, not an assurance, 100%, that he was going to be coming back. And remember, there are several more out there that are, you've got the Maryland guy, you've got Mahmoud Khalil, which I'm sure the Supreme Court ruled that he can be deported, but there has to be, again, due process. He has to have his effort and his time in court. Same thing goes with the Maryland man, as well as the soccer player from Venezuela, as well as the, again, for lack of a better term, the gay hairdresser. I don't know his name. So these are not done by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, it's like they're getting to the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court is making a ruling, if you will, but it's full of moving parts.
Yeah, and they're not. It's funny because the Supreme Court, and I think you recognize this, they're not ruling totally. They're kind of doing there's three things we could rule on. We're going to rule on one of the lanes, and the rest of it can go back down.
And let's see what happens down there.
Yeah, but they did say you have to listen to the lower court.
Mm-hmm.
But if he goes and he defies if he gets back to the Supreme Court and they say, no, you absolutely must get him out, those are the rules, and he says, no, I'm not going to do it and they can't, it's hard for them to say that because, like they said, there has to be deference to the other nation. And the other nation is El Salvador, and if they don't want to release him, there's not a lot we can do about it. And you don't think he's really fighting at that point in time to go, oh, yeah, you better or else. I wonder what they get. What do they get, $20,000 a prisoner a year?
From us?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's pretty good money right there. Bill, you're shaking your head. $20,000? Seems about right.
It's about $20,000 a person.
Wow, look at that. It's good money, right? Like, what are you worth? $20,000? $20,000? What did we send him, 200 plus?
200 plus so far, and I think there was another flight that went out over this weekend.
Yeah, so prepare. There's lots of Supreme Court stuff going on in the world of Trump. Coming up, a lot of stuff still to talk to. We got some of your text messages. Maybe we'll touch again with Bill Maher this weekend, talking about his trip to the White House. A bunch of other things straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, Metro Police addressing safety in the neighborhood around Chadwell Elementary School in Madison. It's where a custodian was stabbed to death this morning before school.
This was a targeted, isolated incident. We don't believe that there's any danger to the community beyond what occurred here this morning.
Metro Police have issued an arrest warrant charging 54-year-old Candido Raul Rubio Perez with criminal homicide. His estranged wife, the victim, identified as 52-year-old Niruka Alfonso Acevedo. The president of El Salvador telling reporters in the Oval Office that he will not send back the man the U.S. sent to his country last month, despite an immigration judge's order that should have prevented the man's deportation to his home country. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has more from Washington.
The White House has been arguing one thing on television and a very different thing in court. On TV, administration officials now say that Kilmar Abrego Garcia was not wrongly deported, that he was involved in human trafficking, that any right he might have had to stay in this country ended when the president deemed MS-13 a terrorist organization. But they've said none of that to judges. In its unanimous holding last week, the Supreme Court deemed Abrego Garcia's deportation illegal, and it said the administration must facilitate his return.
Strong shaking felt in Southern California this morning as a 5.2 magnitude earthquake hit with an epicenter in San Diego County.
A bunch of aftershocks have been shaking San Diego, but police and firefighters say there is no major damage or injuries. We do understand buildings in Tijuana, Mexico were evacuated. Now the fire departments in L.A. and Orange counties have come out of what they call earthquake mode. They went out and they checked all the buildings. They found no damage. But the shaking was strong in San Diego County. Luckily, it was deep. The earthquake about 8 miles underground. That helped lessen the impact compared to a more shallow quake.
That's Alex Stone and the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Busy bee. So you need to call if you got issues with your HVAC and or your plumbing. And let me tell you why you want to join the Beehive Club. First of all, not just the discounts and the fact that they're going to treat you like you're a star, but also because, hey, a couple times a year, they have them come out, take a look around, make sure everything's okay. Pays for itself. But think about it. And I've had a few people already text me today, who's the HVAC company? I says Busy Bee. They're amazing. They're going to come out and take care of you, especially as you start to fire stuff up, right? You know, you use the heater for a while, but how's the cold? Is it working right? Because it's getting hot and sticky. You want to make sure that you are ready to roll, especially as it starts to warm up. And of course, plumbing, man. We always talk about plumbing. It's the beauty of plumbing is everybody needs plumbing, and Busy Bee has you covered. Join the Beehive Club today, whether you've got issues with your HVAC or your plumbing, or just in case, call them 775-7833, 775-7833, or visit busybeehvac.com. Let's talk about Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all this incredible stuff packed into an amazing supplement you give your dog. It's once a day, right on top of your dog's food, and you watch what happens. It's incredible. Over the space of 90 days, and they have a 90-day challenge going on right now, you will see your dog, it's like a new dog after 90 days. First of all, energy levels, the skin and the fur and the way that it's shinier, fuller without the shedding. The immune system's going to improve tremendously, as well as their heart health, their energy levels, and their mobility, right, for their joints, because less inflammation, because of live enzymes inside of the 1 scoop a day. You don't have to change anything with your dog's food. Just add Rough Greens to it. Get a Jumpstart trial bag of Rough Greens today. It's not going to cost you anything but shipping. ruffgreens.com. Use my code, Chad. Just a few bucks. They send it out to you. Take the 90-day challenge. Watch what happens with your pup. Ruffgreens.com. Use code, Chad. A lot of you chiming in. I like it. So somebody said, he's there. He's the thug. We shouldn't care. No, it's not about whether or not he's the thug. It should be there. It's about listening to the court. If the court says this, if we're not going to follow the laws, and we're not going to listen to the Supreme Court, and we're not going to listen to, we're going to just say, be damned to the, Constitution, then what do we have? That's my big thing. I mean, maybe some of you don't care about it. Maybe you think, well, Trump should be able to whatever he wants to do, period, case closed. I myself think that we've got these 3 co-equal branches, and really we've got 2 branches that are co-equal. The other branch is useless, and that's Congress. I don't think you get too many people arguing about that. But if they say, we're not telling you this like as a suggestion, or that we're saying that this is the law based on the way we read it, Constitution, whatnot, and they say, nah, we don't have to, well, then what's next? I think it's a fair question to ask, because you wouldn't want the left to do it. We shouldn't want the right to do it. We should want there to be 3 co-equals to keep them in check so one portion of the branch doesn't go crazy on the other. And that's what we should want. Now, I don't think this guy's coming back, and it's not about the guy. It's about, okay, what's next? Is next just being able to say, hey, the Supreme Court says you can't do this. Well, I'm going to do it anyways. Well, then we're running into some issues. That's the issue, more so than the guy. Obviously, for part of the guy's family and around him, that's a bigger issue for him is whether or not he comes back, and I don't think he's going to. But understand, that's what I'm talking about. Speaking of talking about, this weekend, Bill Maher spoke about his time with the president because they had dinner.
Okay. As you know, 12 days ago, I had dinner with President Trump, a dinner that was set up by my friend Kid Rock, because we share a belief that there's got to be something better than hurling insults from 3,000 miles away. And let me first say that to all the people who treated this like it was some kind of summit meeting, you're ridiculous. Like I was going to sign a treaty or something. I have no power. I'm a comedian, and he's the most powerful leader in the world. I'm not the leader of anything, except maybe a contingent of centrist-minded people who think there's got to be a better way of running this country than hating each other every minute. So, thank you.
Which is hard, because you get bonus points in today's world for making sure that you have a disdain for the other side, and you make sure the tribe sees that you have a disdain for the other side, even if you get nothing for it, and that's sad. We should want to have conversations in this country. First of all, if your goal is to get more people, to add more people to your quote-unquote tribe, to your side of the aisle, to your tent, then you're going to have conversations with people. And I love the fact that, look, Bill Maher is a massive critic of Donald Trump, and he's been a supporter of some of the stuff. And I say this, he's a critic of Donald Trump, the person he sees on television, but he's been a supporter of some of the stuff that Trump has done over the years. So we forget that because, we always pick out the one thing that somebody says, oh, I don't like that thing, so therefore that's the only thing I'll focus on. It's like being my mom, right? I could bring home all C's and one F, and she focuses on the F. I would say all A's, but that was never happening.
I had my staff collect and print out this list of almost 60 different insulting epithets that the president has said about me. Things like stupid, dummy, lowlife dummy, sleazebag, sick, sad, stone cold crazy. Really a dumb guy, fired like a dog. His show is dead. I brought this to the White House because I wanted him to sign it. Which he did with good humor. And I know as I say that, millions of liberal sphincters just tightened. Oh my God, Bill, are you going to say something nice about him?
No, all he did was talk about how honest he was about a meeting, right? So he's hanging out. Kid Rock and him, there's Dana White, there's some other guy there. They're just hanging out, having a dinner, having a laugh, talking about everything, not just politics.
What I'm going to do is report exactly what happened. You decide what you think about it. And if that's not enough pure Trump hate for you, I don't give a f***. Just for starters, he laughs. I'd never seen him laugh in public, but he does, including at himself. And it's not fake. Example, in the Oval Office, he was showing me the portraits of presidents, and he pointed to Reagan and said, in all seriousness, the best thing about him, his hair. I said, well, there was also that whole bringing down communism thing, but no, he laughed, he got it.
Which is something you do. And I know that some of you probably don't want to hear this. I think a lot of, Trump in front of the camera is much different. Trump in front of the camera, some of it's a put on, as you know. He also plays to the crowd, which he likes. He loves the crowd. Behind closed doors, he's a much different person. Puts it on a little bit. And he does it because he understands who his audience is and who he's trying to reach and who his most ferocious supporters are out there.
We were walking through it is an amazing tour of the whole house. And I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but it must have been something with the 2020 election because I know he used the word lost. And I distinctly remember saying, wow, I never thought I'd hear you say that. He didn't get mad. He's much more self-aware than he lets on in public. Look, I get it. It doesn't matter who he is at a private dinner with a comedian. It matters who he is on the world stage. I'm just taking as a positive that this person exists because everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent, at least on this night with this guy.
And I think it's great because you're having a conversation. I mean, it's so hard today to have, and this is why I tell everybody, don't have conversations with people online. You don't, because you're not going to change anybody's mind. And all anybody's trying to do is have a situation where they can say something horrible to you. You can say something horrible to them. It's not about changing people's minds. And why I find this refreshing is because, you know what? I always say I represent the exhausted majority. There's a lot of us leaned a little bit right, a little bit left, some a little bit more to one side or the other, but the extremes have dominated the conversation, and they're few comparatively to the rest of us. And yet we don't have that same kind of oomph and pull that we should. And we're the big, right? We're the majority. Because, for every one or two that sends me the usual, you're the worst, or Bell's a Satanist, which is bizarre. I have no idea why you're part of Satan today. We get a lot more like, yeah, okay, I can see where you go with this. I mean, how many of you out there have friends who are liberal or agnostic even when it comes to politics where you don't, I have a lot of friends that are all over the board. And if we can't talk politics, we don't talk politics. People ask me all the time. I did an interview today. Somebody asked me, so on your show, you talk about all kinds of stuff. I said, yeah. But isn't this about politics? I said, no, it's about life. Right? Like I couldn't stand it if all I talked politics to my friends. That would drive me crazy. Belle and I sat there today and we watched two guys that made us laugh for 15 minutes that it just made me smile. And what do they talk about? The most inane things in the world. And get ready for this. I think they're called the Ross and Jesse show, Jesse and Ross show. Some of you might know who it is. All they talk about is animal stuff. And they'll say stuff like, how many Wolverines would it take to take down the biggest of the big Kodiak Bear.
I can't not laugh at it.
And the guy would say, okay, so Kodiak Bear weighs about 1,400 pounds. Male mount weighs 1,700. And, Badger's about 45 pounds of Wolverine. So you multiply that. It's going to take at least 14 to 28 of them. They ask you the weirdest questions.
And where the hell are you going to get 28 badgers?
Yeah, to fight. And then, but what it made me smile because you know what? If I'm with my friends, we were talking about the dire wolves the other day. We got on that weird subject, like, how many dire wolves do you think, like, would one dire wolf equal a wolf? But it's a regular conversation with people. And trust me, I golf with some of people who work with Trump, and we never talk about politics. They're always talking about other weird stuff. There's nothing to do with it. Usually it's about golf, which I know many of you hate.
When I hit him with a joke or contradicted something, and no problem. At dinner, he was asking me about the nuclear situation in Iran in a very genuine, hey, I think you're a smart guy, I want your opinion sort of way. And I said, obviously you're privy to things about it, I'm not, but for what it's worth, I thought the Obama deal was worth letting play out because we made Iran destroy 98% of the uranium, and they were 15 years away from a bomb. And then I said to him, but we got rid of that. You got rid of that. He didn't get mad or call me a left-wing lunatic. He took it in.
I like that. Took it in. He's very self-deprecating behind the scenes. He's not afraid to laugh, but he knows in front of the camera he's got something which everybody, our president, should be able to, this is my persona. But you're also playing to an audience.
When I hit him with a joke or contradicted something, and no problem. At dinner, he was asking me about the nuclear situation in Iran in a very genuine, hey, I think you're a smart guy, I want your opinion sort of way. And I said, obviously you're privy to things about it, I'm not, but for what it's worth, I thought the Obama deal was worth letting play out because we made Iran destroy 98% of the uranium, and they were 15 years away from a bomb. And then I said to him, but we got rid of that. You got rid of that. He didn't get mad or call me a left-wing lunatic. He took it in.
No way. He did? Yes.
Oh, I know what happened next.
What?
Trump had him sent to a camp.
Sent him to a camp. That's right. In El Salvador. Can't get him back.
I never felt I had to walk on eggshells around him. And honestly, I voted for Clinton and Obama, but I would never feel comfortable talking to them the way I was able to talk with Donald Trump. That's just how it went down. Make of it what you will. Me, I feel it's emblematic of why the Democrats are so unpopular these days. But I also think he now understands I have a job to do, or at least he did on this night, because he said to me early on that he'd seen our last episode, which was the Friday before this dinner. And he said, I thought maybe you'd be nice, but you hit me really hard.
Of course, that's what he does. But I like the way it ended. And I think it says a lot about where we need to be in this country, taking it back. Common sense, conservatives, some logical liberals out there, people that are in the middle who don't pay a lot of crap to politics, not looking at it that much, where we're the exhausted majority and too much extremism has filtered into our daily life.
My favorite part of the whole night was we were standing in the room. We were. And he said, I've heard from a lot of people who really like that we're having this dinner. Not all, but a lot. And I said, same. A lot of people told me they loved it, but not all. And we agreed. The people who don't even want us to talk, we don't like you. Don't talk, as opposed to what? Writing the same editorial for the millionth time and making 25-hour speeches into the wind? Really, that's what liberals have? He takes the piss out of everybody else and we can hold ours? Okay, that's my report. You can hate me for it, but I'm not a liar. Trump was gracious and measured, and why he isn't that in other settings, I don't know, and I can't answer, and it's not my place to answer. I'm just telling you what I saw, and I wasn't high. Which, as Bell pointed out earlier, might have been a missed opportunity. You never know. Coming up, we're going to wrap it up. I saw the guy, Matt Murphy. What did Chris want me to call him? Just the guy in the afternoon? The guy in the afternoon's coming straight up. We're going to talk to him. It's Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
Roy McIlroy with a big win yesterday, joining us now for Golf Talk. The guy in the afternoon is...
Hello, friends.
Neighbors. How about that win, huh?
It's pretty good. So I was kind of rooting for, I have a tendency, I think America generally was going for McIlroy.
Yes.
I think the world was in favor of a guy that has had his heart ripped out so many times getting the green jacket. I was kind of, I go for the heel in those circumstances, so I was kind of rooting for Bryson.
I was too. And then I was kind of rooting for Justin Rose.
I was too.
And the reason was Roy's 34, Justin's 44. Justin is not going to have too many opportunities like this
2 or 3 more
ever
chances,
again.
probably.
If he's lucky. And that's across all majors.
And he had the best final round.
Yeah, he did.
He shot a 66.
You know who really crapped the bed was Obear. He was tied and then right in the dumpster.
Well, and DeChambeau did too.
Yeah,
there's
he
no
didn't play
question.
well.
I mean, he did not have a good match. But it was riveting for me. I know it wasn't riveting for some. I was like, you know what? Haters are motivators. Hand, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, he's like,
whatever.
Yeah. People are like, you guys are stupid. You probably like soccer too. Yeah, that sport's not going to make it. People. But
I am fascinated with how Augusta National always comes up with an incredible storyline. And sometimes the storyline is, oh my gosh, nobody's ever done this before. Tiger Woods won by 12 strokes or whatever it was. But for the most part, it comes up with a storyline that comes down to the last couple of holes, which is, I mean, that would have been the most monumental collapse in the history of golf. And I include Norman. He was up 5 with 8 to play.
Yeah.
And he
laid up on 13, and then he hit it in the creek.
Hit it in the creek. That is a shot that you and I can make, Chad.
Yes.
Because you're aiming, and I know this is nerding out, but you're not even anywhere near that pin. You're aiming 20 yards to the left of that pin, and you hit it 10 yards to the right of that pin.
Yeah, it wasn't even close.
It was a shank.
It was like It was a Saturday morning, oh my God, breakfast ball shake.
Right. That's I'm just gonna hit that over, guys.
Yeah, you guys can see that.
It's first hole.
But he did. But he came back and he had a chance to win. And I was fascinated though by I'm like, man, is he really going to win this, or is he going to go Greg Norman? Is this going to be the one that eats his soul and he's never going to get over? And now he's got it. And now watch, I wouldn't be surprised he goes and wins one other major this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been, 14 years? 11 years since the last major and 14 years since he was in contention like he was at Augusta. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that gets the monkey off his back. If he doesn't win that yesterday, he never wins a green jacket. Now he could win any number of them. We act like Roy McIlroy's at the twilight of his career, and he's 35.
Yeah, and it was interesting to watch him because him and his wife been on again, off again. It was a lot about Poppy, and it was a lot about my Harry Diamond, who's his guy, who met him when he was 7 on both of them 7 hanging out on the putting green. Not a lot. Man, my wife, she's nice too.
She liked him after the tournament was done.
Of course she did. $4 million.
Just get a little kissy kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that.
What are you going to talk about today? I talked about no tariffs. These people might be just living for tariffs today.
Oh boy. I don't know that I have tariff talk on the docket.
Oh,
maybe I should do an audible.
No, don't.
I was going immigration myself.
That's it.
I don't. I'm having a difficult time. I'm having a difficult time whipping up a frenzy for the guy. I am, and I know that I probably should have a frenzy for. I don't know.
It's not about the guy. It's about if you're going to start saying, I don't.
Go ahead.
I didn't. My understanding was you had to make a reasonable effort to get him back. That was it. Not that you absolutely had to get him back.
Right.
That was my
we
understanding.
made an effort. We asked El Salvador would they bring him back.
Yeah, he was here and he said no.
Okay.
And somebody said, well, he had deportation orders. Yes, except for one country he couldn't be deported to, and that was El Salvador.
Right. I just, I'm going to talk about it today. I have a difficult time getting into a frenzy over that. I do think that I'm going to ask the question, what is the most successful thing that the Trump administration has done over their first 90 days? And I think it's pretty clearly immigration, but we'll talk about it on the show today.
Sounds good. The afternoon guy, who I like to call Matt Murphy, my golf pal, straight ahead. Chad Benson Show says later.